Today on Dr. Phil. Imagine discovering this about your newlywed husband.
Logging on to singlesnet.com and viewing online members.
What are you doing on these dating sites? You're married.
It's kind of like research.
Did you email someone on eHarmony on the day of your wedding and said we could meet somewhere?
How to know when to make it or break it.
Tammy.
Hi.
Dr. Phil, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah? So tell me why you wrote me.
Well, Paul and I were married about 3.5 weeks ago.
Oh, you were remarried 3.5 weeks
Remarried,
ago.
yes.
Right. Now, your families don't know this, right?
No.
And you're kind of keeping an eye on him right now, just like you do when you're at home, right?
Yes.
Because we're talking spyware, computers,
Yes.
all that.
Yes.
Why did you remarry him if you didn't trust him enough to, I mean, that seems inconsistent. I don't trust this guy so much I gotta watch him, but I think I'll remarry him.
Well, I don't think we had a huge trust issue the first time around, but I realized very quickly into the second time around that I did have a trust issue with him, and it was serious.
Well, your instincts were right because you found him on dating sites, right?
Yes.
All right, so you have trouble getting him to own up to things, to be straight.
Absolutely.
So you need my help.
Yes.
All right, well, we're gonna do that right now.
Thank you.
I'll see you out there.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank
All
you.
right, good.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
Some say it's a hard life, but it's hard for us all. Always hold on.
In 10, 9,
Be strong. Reach out.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Stand by, camera 6. Go, Dr. Phil.
Thank you very much. Well, I was just backstage talking with Tammy, who secretly remarried her ex-husband, Paul. And when I say secretly, I mean they didn't bother to tell their families, who went through one divorce with them already just a few months ago, and clearly would not approve of marriage number 2. Now, in case I said that too fast, let me repeat it. They got a divorce, then they got remarried a second time, but they didn't tell anybody. Now, obviously, it's not going well, the second lap around the track, or they wouldn't be on the Dr. Phil show. Tammy wants to decide if they can make it work this time, or if they should just break it off again. Tammy and Paul were married for 8 years, then divorced for 9 months, and just remarried each other 3.5, 4 weeks ago. So let's bring Tammy and Paul on out here and take a look at some of the problems that just never went away.
Revealing my secret marriage is going to be very hard. He has lied to me about being on dating websites, lied to me about seeing a certain ex-girlfriend.
Tammy was spying on me. You know, it was wicked and deceitful.
After Paul and I got married, within 2 years, we had broken up, and I moved out because I couldn't handle all the rules in the house. There were so many.
Tammy thinks I'm just a mean SOB sometimes because I'm trying to raise our standards and, you know, have expectations.
I feel like, you know, Paul is having to father me our entire marriage. We did agree in 2007 to divorce.
We remarried Tammy because it's part of our insane love. We can't be together and we can't be apart.
It's just a continuous cycle.
Neither my mother or my father know that we are remarried. My family would not want me to be with Tammy because they don't trust her. The main reason that we haven't said anything to my family, we don't know how they're going to react, so we just thought we'd let it marinate a little bit and slowly let it out. I grew up in more of a middle class, and Tammy grew up more in a lower class.
Paul makes me feel like I am nobody.
Her values were just different, and just things weren't as evolved.
That's an interesting choice of words. We'll just let this marriage marinate. What's that mean?
Well, I was
Do you have a plan to tell the family at some point, or that's what I'm asking, I guess?
Oh, absolutely, yes, I do.
Why did you get a divorce to begin with? Let's turn the clock back and look at the last one before we even look at this one.
It was just time to do that because it was kind of like the 3 strikes, and okay, well, finally, we need to, I guess, end this. I mean, she had moved out 3 times, and so it looked like the, you know, it's like if you don't want to be there and you felt the need to go out and be on your own and look for somebody new, and
Well, first thing,
you know,
I don't agree with 3 strikes. I wasn't 3 strikes. I mean, you act like I'm the one that.
Were you moving out?
But
Yes,
3 times,
I was moving out.
You know, 3 times she's left, so then therefore, I guess, you know, we need to, you know, do something finalized. I didn't want it to be like it was with she and, you know, her former relationship where.
Well, how big a deal were the class differences? Because you mentioned that, and you say he talks about that a lot. You're trailer trash, and you're from a better background, better upbringing.
High society.
High society. So he crossed the tracks to find you.
Yes, I'm so lucky.
Well, I mean,
I don't know
now
if
this
I really
is about
agree
being
with that.
honest.
I don't really agree with that. I don't
But
agree
wait a
with
minute.
that, Tammy.
Hold
but
on.
you know.
Wait a minute. Let me just preface this by saying, we agreed when we started, good, bad, or ugly, we're going to be honest.
Yes.
Now, you have demeaned her background, have you not?
In her eyes,
And she's bailed on you, not once, but twice, but she just keeps bailing on you. That's why you said 3 strikes. She kept leaving, you said that's enough.
well, I mean, it creates an instability in our family. You know, when your mother's leaving, you know, and the children are there, and
Why do you keep hitting the door?
For one thing, it's not just me leaving. It's his house. Okay, I didn't buy this house. I don't own this house. If anyone's going to leave, I'm going to have to leave. It's not like
But
I can kick him out.
Have you left repeatedly?
Yes, I have left repeatedly.
Did you want her to leave when she left those times?
no, especially not the last time.
So, but you left anyway.
I left because I had to for my health.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about your health when we come back. And we're going to talk about one of Paul's biggest issues and what Tammy is doing to Paul when we come back.
We both made the decision that we should just go ahead and get married because if we had delayed, we might not do it.
It seemed like it was more of her idea, and she wanted to do it fast, so I just had to trust her and just jump back into the marriage.
Should you stay in your relationship and make it work or make a clean break? Sometimes that's the hard question that you have to face. Sometimes you make the right decision. Sometimes you have to make the decision right. Sometimes you got to cut bait and move on. Now, one of the issues important to Paul is Tammy's housekeeping. He says he's just trying to raise her standards.
Paul likes to put sticky notes up on the door. He likes to make sure that I walk outside and I close the door behind me. It saves me energy. He wants to remind me whenever I wash my scrubs for work that I remove all my paper clips. Over here, I need to turn the exhaust fan on when running the dryer. Here's another note in case I don't see this one. I've got this one to remind me. Last week, he's like, from now on, let's all fold our toilet paper when we wipe instead of scrunch it up. And he's serious. I had a can that I put in the regular trash and he immediately grabbed it out of the trash and he got in my face and he says, look at this. Look at this. You threw this in the regular trash can and, you know, this is meaning that you do not love me.
You just asked her, is that demeaning?
Yes.
How did you answer?
I said, yes, it is demeaning. It's very demeaning.
What's demeaning about it?
It makes me feel like I am being a child, and it makes me feel like I don't know what I'm doing, and I do know what I'm doing. I'm an adult. I don't need someone telling me how to behave, or, you know, and if I don't want to recycle, then I shouldn't have to. You know, I do it most of the time for him, but sometimes I make mistakes and I don't throw it in the right trash can. And I think he should be okay with that.
Ladies, help me out here. How many of you are okay with your husband putting sticky notes around the house telling you what to do? Raise your hand. How many of you thinks that is condescending and demeaning? Raise your hand. I mean, I'm just trying to give you a little focus group here, just a little quick poll of the audience.
Is that majority? I think so. Yeah, no.
Well, let's look again. Show of hands if that's condescending and demeaning. Keep them up. Keep them up. Keep them up. Scan from your right to your left and back from your left to your right. You missed the middle section. Do I need a Post-it note on this? That's not gonna... Take it from me. I've been married 30 years. Despite the fact that I've been getting a divorce apparently for the last year, according to the tabloids.
32.
What are you saying there, ma'am?
It's actually 32 years last week.
32 years, excuse me.
Last week.
I can tell you that won't work.
I understand.
Well, do you really? Then why do you do it?
I just did it one time.
Listen, I mean, as ugly as it sounds, it is a big part of the problem here that you just do think you married beneath yourself. She just doesn't have the upbringing. She didn't have the parents that prepared her properly. As ugly as that may sound, I mean, that's what you think, isn't it?
I read it in a book. I don't believe it. I never believed it.
You certainly espouse it.
Certainly.
You say it to her. Does he say it to you?
Yes.
Why would you say it to her at home, but you won't own it now?
Saying what?
That you married beneath you, that she's trailer trash, that she's, quote, a dumbass, that she's, you've referred to her as the you've called her stupid, idiot, trailer trash, and dumbass. That's, is that clear enough?
That should do it. I think so, yes. I mean,
that suggests to me that you think she's...
Beneath me?
Yeah.
I do like anybody, you know, when you try to teach somebody something, it's like she's very teachable and accepts anything else from someone else. And I don't look at it that way.
But you come from a higher class, in your opinion.
If there is such a thing, I don't make judgments. I mean...
Well, but one of the things that confused me, if you come from a higher class, how come when y'all got a divorce, she's paying you child support?
Well, she didn't. It was written in the documents, but, you know.
Well, you filed for it. You asked for it.
Yeah.
So you want a little patches here from the other side of the track to be paying you,
right.
To be paying you child support?
It was standard. It's written up in the document, standard. That's just a standard decree. I mean.
He told me I was lucky it wasn't $350, that it was just $100 a month.
Yeah. Did you read that paperwork?
Well, I didn't get the final paperwork until we were divorced. I didn't know.
Don't tell me that you got a divorce and you didn't know what the paper said. You had access to the paper.
I had access to what was supposed to be not the final papers, but I had signed a waiver that basically gave him all the choice, everything in the divorce. And I had no idea that that's what I was doing. He told me that I was signing a piece of paper that was getting the divorce started. He did not tell me it was a waiver saying that he could make any decision he wanted to in the divorce.
You didn't have a lawyer?
No, I did not. He told me that the lawyer he got was our lawyer. Everything was going well at this time, and you know, it was kind of a thing where he was like, oh, I'm going to go get us a lawyer so that we can get the divorce started. And I thought we were playing nice with each other.
When the paperwork was all going through and filed, you know, we were actually together, and
Yes, yeah. I didn't realize, though, that you were taking my daughter away from me at that time, though. I had no idea.
I was not
You were the
taking your
first
daughter
divorce.
away from you.
In paper,
I was
you were.
not.
In
because
paper, you were.
In paper, but she had the opportunity to have her daughter as much as she wanted, do
Oh,
anything with her.
Thank you.
And yeah.
Thank you. Thank
yeah.
you. I appreciate that.
As
But if
her
it's not
mother-
in paper, then, you know, what
She
happens
thinks
if you
it's
decide to
not
go and
on the
have another
paperwork.
relationship,
Excuse me.
and then all of a sudden, you know what? That new relationship that you had was probably, you know, oh, you need to go with just what the papers say.
Boy, things apparently went to hell in a handbasket in 3.5 weeks. So,
Oh, this was our last.
but
we're talking
3.5
about the last
weeks
time.
ago, y'all were all in love and getting remarried, right?
Yes.
Wow.
As crazy as that sounds. I mean,
Yeah. Well, there are bigger problems here than even that we've talked about. I'm not saying they're not resolvable. We're going to find out when we come back. Tammy and Paul are trying to figure out if their remarriage can make it or if they should break it off and stop it now. They clearly don't see things the same way. Not only have they kept their remarriage a secret from their families, there are secrets that they've been keeping from each other. Now, Tammy installed something called spyware on her husband's computer. The spyware program sent Tammy a readout of all the websites that Paul had been visiting online. Let's take a look at what she found Paul was up to weeks after they had remarried.
Logging on to eHarmony, getting match detail reviews, getting to know more about a certain person that's on there, logging out of eHarmony, immediately getting on to singlesnet.com and doing the member login and viewing online members. Here's a couple of photos that he looks at, and then he logs out. Does he have absolutely no respect for me at all and just doesn't care about the marriage?
Okay, what are you doing on these dating sites? You're married.
Well, like any mature relationship, I mean, you know, you just kind of ease out of things and you get, you know, to a point where, I mean, you have to, you know, take control and be responsible and all that. And, you know, I just didn't do it fast enough, I guess. I mean, I didn't.
Like the day we
It's
got
like
married.
old habits are hard to
was
break.
not
You know, it's
something-
just a situation where it wasn't like the interest. A lot of the things it's kind of like research. You know, I'm looking at what these people think and how they sound, and what their feelings, their attitudes, their opinions, and just different things like that.
The photos and stuff.
And what are you, what is it you're researching? No, seriously, you said it's research. What is it? You usually do research in preparation for execution.
Right.
What is it you're researching?
Just, you know, other women's ideas and you know, how they think. And if I'm just way off, and if I'm just, you know, my ideas and the way I'm thinking are just wrong, or if it is, you know, if there are other people
So
out
you're just
there
looking for some
that,
counsel to help your marriage.
Absolutely.
No, Paul, you have every intention of wanting to talk to those women. You have every intention of wanting to find out, are they
If I had
better
those
than I
intentions,
am?
Tammy,
or-
then I would be doing it. I'd be exercising it.
You are
I wouldn't-
doing it.
You are. You're online.
But wait a minute. On
Because
your
you look at one and you're not like,
You're
it has
looking
nothing
and
to
see,
do.
You have an intention there. You're looking to see what's out there.
And
you're
part of
married.
it's because I know that she's doing that to me. And how much disrespect is that?
well, that
she's
is
gotta hook up-
disrespectful that she would
she's
check
gotta
up
hook up
on you talking to your potential
She's gotta
research
hook up-
participants.
Yeah, but she's got to hook up spyware and keeping track of me, and it's like, where's the trust in that?
Well, it sounds to me
would've
like she
never
needs
started
to.
that. I would have never
No,
started
doesn't
that if
she-
I didn't have a problem
okay,
already.
But did you email someone on eHarmony on the day of your wedding?
No.
Did you email Melissa on the day of your wedding and said, I'll be returning from Houston on Sunday at 7:30 or 8. If something would work during this time, we could meet somewhere when I'm returning. I live in just near. Did I read that right?
I believe so, yes.
So, and the date would be your wedding day?
Early, you see how early it is? So I'm not sure if you know, she's gonna bail on me at the altar, or if maybe I'll get to that point.
Well, Paul and Tammy kept this remarriage secret from their families. We're going to talk to a family member who doesn't approve, and maybe he's just finding it out today here. I don't know. We'll find out when we get back. Paul and Tammy remarried each other about a month ago, and they were reluctant to tell their families about their new marriage because, well, they just knew that family members were going to be furious with them because of all the problems in the first marriage. Now, Cindy is Tammy's older sister. She says that they should not have remarried and kept it secret from her. And according to Cindy and Tammy, there have been several scary incidences with Paul.
When Paul would get angry at me, he would try to throw shadow punches at me and just kind of go like this at my nose. Paul would throw me against the wall.
I've witnessed Paul slapping Tammy against the head. She had the karaoke machine and he wanted to sing, evidently.
He grabbed me, you know, just kind of right here against the neck and, you know, just kind of started shaking me.
He went through the house screaming at the top of his lungs. And I told him I was going to call the police, and he lunged at me. Tammy went outside to talk to him.
Paul picked up Blake and grabbed him against the shoulder, and he was so angry at him that he threw him up against the wall.
I'm very afraid of his rages, and he will hurt Tammy and Blake.
Cindy, what do you think about this?
I'm upset. I hate it. I think that Tammy's above Paul. I don't think she should be with him.
So why do you suppose they lied by omission and didn't tell you or anybody else about this?
Because she knew that her family would be upset because we're all afraid that sooner or later he'll snap and murder her and my nephew.
You're not going to kill anybody, are you?
No, sir, no.
All right, all right. Why did you get remarried? I mean, America's all screaming at the screen right now saying, why did y'all get remarried? Why did you do it?
Well, for one thing, after we got divorced, we were dating about 3 months after that. We were still dating. We were still seeing each other. And we didn't spend, I mean, we tried to have other relationships and, you know, a couple of other dates and things like that. But I kept wanting to be with him. I kept wanting to, you know, hold him.
What in particular was it that made you want to be with him? Was it the choking and shaking? Was it the insults and demeaning and condescension? Is he particularly charming when he is abusive with your son? I mean, what was it that popped out the most?
Well, unfortunately, I wasn't thinking about those things at the time.
Because you know what happens? You get selective memory, don't you?
Absolutely.
It's kind of like you're together and you just right at each other and you go, I can't take this another second of another minute of another day. I got to get out of here and get a divorce. And then you get away from each other and you start going, well, you know, we had so much fun at the beach and it was so much fun when we would curl up on the couch. And I remember, you know, we did this, we did that. It's kind of like you just get like struck dumb and all of those things that were so strongly present are gone and you just have selective memory and you start missing the person you wish you had been married to. It's not the person you were married to, it's the person you wish you had been married to. And so you glamorize them and you polish them all up and they look great from a distance. And then you get back there about a week later and you go, yeah, I remember why I can't stand this person.
That's exactly right. Exactly to the T, what you're saying.
Well,
that's exactly how I feel.
Fancy that.
That's exactly how I feel. I mean,
well, you know, this is an interesting thing. You guys bring an interesting dimension to this that we don't often have because most people you know, they kind of get that, you know, once you're out, stay out. Usually for most people, it's one trial learning. It's kind of like sticking your hand in a blender.
Yeah.
You know, you do that one time, you don't need to go back and say, now let's see, was that okay or not?
Yeah.
Let me try that again. But y'all, that's what y'all did. And so we actually have something here that we don't often have. See, usually if people are talking about getting married, you have to speculate what's going to happen. But with you guys, we have the ability to measure what happens when you're married. You've had years of measurement about what happens. So we don't have to speculate, we just measure how y'all got along. And seems to me that that would be a pretty easy choice. But you know, even beyond that, there are some really core issues here that go beyond anything we've talked about so far. I want to talk about those when we come back.
He hands me this piece of paper and he says, well, all you gotta do is sign this piece of paper and the divorce process would be started. So I signed it, but what it actually was signing any right I had to make any decision in the divorce.
I had reached my limit. I just wanted closure and to finalize it.
Well, Tammy and Paul are trying to figure out if their remarriage can make it, should make it, or if they ought to just quit, call it off right now. One incident that cost them a lot of money, their whole bank account in fact, involved a trip Paul took to New Orleans. Now Tammy says Paul was out dancing with some woman, had too much to drink, and the whole family paid the price. Tammy's sister claims it's even worse than that.
Paul went on a boys' trip to New Orleans. He had confessed that he had went out and he drank way too much. There was a woman there at a dance club that was dancing with him.
He had hired a prostitute.
They left the dance club. They shared a cab. The cab drove up to her hotel. She invited him up. The next day he realizes that his credit card was stolen. He basically said it was much of a blackout situation and that he was conned and that this woman was a professional. I don't feel like he did anything wrong. He tells me that nothing happened in the hotel room, and I believe him.
I believe that Paul has cheated on Tammy. She told me he had.
Well, that's a different twist, a hooker putting the britches on you instead of taking them off of you. So is that what happened here?
Yeah, in lesser words, I mean, sure, yeah. I ran, I was scared. I mean, I'd never been in that situation. And
did you know she was a hooker?
No, she's got it right on saying that she was a con artist. I mean, she was a thief.
Were you going back to her hotel room?
She did know how to work
research,
it. Or? No, I'd already researched. You know, everything. All the research was finished, and I'm a nice guy, Dr. Phil. I was being a nice guy. I felt bad. She was like, well, you know, she didn't have enough money to get back to her place, and so I said, well, I'll pay for the taxi. I bought the taxi. We went back to the hotel or whatever she lived in, and you know, she said, come on up, you know, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. So, you know, yes, I had, you know, had a few cocktails. So, you know, I didn't see any harm. I was like, well, okay, well. But then once I got up there and found out that she was either going to try to turn a trick or, you know, in the meantime, I didn't realize you know, she'd already taken my debit ATM card. And all I did was want to get out of there. And I was like, no thanks.
Must have been standing pretty close to you to pick your pocket.
Well, it was in the bar. I mean, yeah. In the bar, I had to get the money out, you know, ATM at the bar to get enough money for the taxi. And that's when she, you know, fast-fingered me, you know, did the little trick of the eyes thing or something. And, you know, there I was just being a nice guy. And
You're married, though, Paul. You're not supposed to be a nice guy to those kind of women.
Hold on.
But you want to hear when we were still married, and I was, and she was dating this guy, and, we were still married at the time.
We filed for separation.
Yeah.
After we
still
filed for
married
separation.
at this time. However, she told me that she was going with her sister Cindy to Shreveport. Well, come to find out, she was really going to Mexico with the guy that she was dating at the time when we haven't even completed the divorce.
We filed for separation in April. I never started a relationship with anyone with any intention, not talking on the phone or anything, and this was in July. Okay, so I'd been out of the house since
seeing each other, and
actually
the night before.
Filed for separation in April.
Excuse me.
Relationship in July. What you did in New Orleans.
Excuse me.
What you did in New Orleans was during our marriage.
Excuse me.
The good part of our marriage.
Pardon me. All right, excuse me. Why don't you look at it this way? It's like, the good part of our marriage? Yeah, it must have been really great for me to... I went with a bunch of guys, okay, to the New Orleans Bowl, and, I was at the wrong place at the wrong time, obviously, but I corrected it.
Come on, you're not the victim here. Hell, Lassie could figure this one out.
But listen. Let me finish telling the story. Let's hear the rest of this story, though, okay? Let's hear the rest of this story. We were with each other the night before that she was like, well, they were leaving on a Thursday. The night before, we were with each other Wednesday. The night when she was telling me that she was going with her sister to Shreveport, when she was actually going with her boyfriend at the time to Mexico. And, I just happened to put everything together. I did my research and figured everything out.
Out of
Maybe you're right. Maybe y'all deserve each other. Maybe it's
it's not like I hadn't gone through it.
But I don't know. I promised some core issues that I think are outcome determinative here. Didn't get to them, but will next. Okay, Tammy and Paul are newly remarried, and as Paul puts it, they're miserable together, they're miserable apart, they're trying to figure out if they can make it work this time, the second time around. Listen, we've talked about some things here, some things we haven't gotten to. There is one overwhelmingly outcome determinative issue here for you, and then there are some for you as well. You think, feel, and believe to the core of your soul that he is abusive to your son, that he is negligent, that he treats your biological daughter that you have between you like a queen and treats your son, which is his stepson, in a negative way, correct?
There's been a lot of negative things in the past.
You said he's called him names,
many years
ago. He's yelled at him, he's demeaned him, he's thrown him against the wall, one time with a nail sticking out next to his head, which could have hurt him badly. You believe that to be true, correct?
Yes.
And I'm not even saying you need to agree with that or you don't. I mean, you may totally disagree with that characterization, but you believe that he mistreats your son, both by acts of omission and commission. Okay, let me just cut to the chase. That is a drop-dead deal breaker. Drop-dead deal breaker. I don't care whether you love him. I don't care whether you think he is charming. I don't care if you think he's the only man that will have you or whatever rationale you put in your mind. If you have brought someone into your home that mistreats your child, it is your job to protect that child right now. Okay? And I'm not even saying that you do what she characterizes you as doing. But if you believe that, and you have told us that you do, then to me, there's no issue here. You don't have the right to be married to somebody that mistreats your child. You don't have the right to be with somebody that mistreats your child. And you have a duty and responsibility to get yourself and your child away from that immediately before dark today. It's just that simple. Now, I don't know what?
I did leave. I left 3 times during our marriage.
You just remarried him 3.5 weeks ago. Look, you need to stop playing the victim here. I didn't read the papers. I thought they were starting the divorce. Gee golly, I didn't know. I just don't know. Well, you now know, because I'm telling you with verbs in my sentences, you need to get out and stay out. Okay? You have to protect your child. Paul. One thing here, when I said you don't have to speculate and predict, you can measure. You two have conflict over parenting style, right? You don't see things the same. And you've done nothing to resolve that conflict. Nothing. Zip, zero, nada, yet. You've done nothing to resolve that conflict. You believe that he is abusive. You've done zero to acknowledge that, embrace that, or get help with that. At this point, there is no reason to believe, no rational person would believe that you would have any other outcome to this union than the one you've already had. Look, I believe in marriage. I believe we get divorced too quick. In this case, you got married too quick. You got remarried too quick. This doesn't work. Admit it. Face it. Go get this annulled. Whatever you have to do to undo 3.5 weeks of craziness and become co-parents.
But we got married in front of our children. Our children. We have a picture of our. I mean, they're standing next to us. What can we do to?
We have a conflict with.
You're not ready to be married to this woman. You're not ready to be married to him. You want to get married? Do the work. Do the work and then get married. And you owe it to your children to either get out of this or do the work required to get back into it. And I'm talking to myself. You're going to do exactly. You're going to keep doing exactly what you're doing, aren't you?
No, I'm not going to. I'm here to get help. I want to get help. And if it's not a right situation and we shouldn't be together, then I don't want it anymore.
Have I left any ambiguity in what I'm telling you need to do? You wanted clarity, right? You wanted an answer. We asked you what's the one question? If you're going to get to ask Dr. Phil just one question, what is it? Have I answered that?
Do you think we should make it or break it? I guess that was my question.
You didn't discern that from my response a few minutes ago?
So what is it again?
Okay, here we go. Break it. Okay, break it. I mean, seriously. Come on. Come on. Life's too short. You know, life's too short. You both have work that you need to do on yourselves. You're both young, attractive, intelligent people. You're going down the wrong path here. Admit it. Whoop a you and get out of here. Get out of this. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. This isn't right. It's sick. It's unhealthy. It's bad for the kids. It's bad for your self-esteem. I mean, he's calling you trailer trash and calling girls on your wedding day. What are you going to do? What's it take?
I don't know. I keep thinking
Does he have to get physical? Oh, never mind. He did. Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. That's why
you always have hope that things are going to change.
And they can change if you do the work. If, you're big on if. If y'all are willing to do the work, I am happy to make resources available to you to do some premarital counseling, to resolve the issues that you've had before, to bring in some professionals to work with you, and then you can decide whether it's fixable or it's not. But in the meantime, this is 9 miles of bad road to nowhere. All right. There's a couple in our audience who were considering remarrying. I'm going to ask how they feel after watching this when we come back. Look, second marriages, especially to the same person again, have unique challenges. I mean, the divorce rate in America is about 50%. Second marriages is almost 75%. If you put them together with the same person again, it probably goes up from there. Now, Wendy and Ty have been listening to all this. They're dealing with many of the same issues as Paul and Tammy. What do y'all think about this?
I feel a whole lot relieved. I mean, that the issues we have aren't at the same level, and that we have common ground at least to begin to get back together. I mean, we have a lot of work ahead of us, and that's We've already agreed on that.
What do you think?
We have
Do you
a lot.
think you should get married?
I think we should do family counseling and work through things before we get married. I don't want to jump in and on a whim like they did.
Because y'all have had problems in the past,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so before you do this, you see they had a lot of work they need to do before they did what they did.
Yes.
And y'all have a lot of work to do before you do what you're contemplating, right?
Yes.
Doesn't mean that you can't. And listen, she's not a bad person, and he's not a bad guy, but just in this particular role, I don't think you're right now, you're like the best husband material around. And you need to open your eyes and stop going, oh, gee, I didn't know. It's your job to know. Your mother, you're responsible for a child. It's your job to know. You have 2 children. Your responsibilities to both of them are protective. Right? Yeah. Y'all aren't going to go off and get married, right?
No.
No. Promise?
Promise.
Yes, most definitely.
Promise. I got you on camera saying that.
No.
I read this in the paper, the renuptials of. Go to drphil.com for exercises from Relationship Rescue to help untangle relationships that you may be in. Then I'm sure the message boards are going to fill up on this. And if you're watching and you're in this area, we'd love to have you in the audience. You guys enjoy being here in the audience? All right. So come see us in the audience. Thanks for being here.
Today on Dr. Phil.
I'm gonna die if I don't get help.
How did a perfect mom become a drug addict?
Your wife is charged with burglary for drugs. How could you not know?
And the children pleading, save my mommy.
Mommy's gonna stop taking those stupid pills, okay?
I've just had enough of you.
I've had enough of me too.
What to do if pills are taking over your life.
In 10, 9, 8.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
5, 4,
Ready,
3,
roll 7. Stand by, camera 6. Go, Dr. Phil.
Well, if you've ever wondered why we do this show, let me tell you, it is designed to help you and your loved ones at home. And today, it's also because of a courageous young girl who's asking me, please, Dr. Phil, save my mom. From the outside, life appears good for this stay-at-home mom. A nice home, loving husband, beautiful children. For these children we're talking about today, for this marriage we're talking about today, for this mom we're talking about today, help is needed now, before tragedy strikes and she just doesn't wake up tomorrow. The next hour is a rare and raw look at a mother who is hanging on by a thread, a mother that probably has a whole lot in common with you. Take a look.
About 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with depression and panic and anxiety disorder from my family physician. I became addicted to the Xanax that she gave me. I'm at the point now to where I am stealing drugs, painkillers out of people's medicine cabinets when I go into their homes. I've stole from my mother-in-law, I've stole from my parents. I've even went as far as taking my dad's refills and going to the pharmacy and refilling his bottle of Vicodin. He had 60 Vicodin and I took those within a 3-day period. I lay in bed, I'm nodding off, I'm sleeping, and my poor 11-year-old is left to take care of the babies.
I just can't stop on my own because
I'm asking you to stop. I'm asking you to not take them down. But it's not right this second. Like, why can't you do it tomorrow?
if I waited till tomorrow, I would be in the bathroom in an hour throwing up.
I'm under the influence right now, and it's like, it's hard to show emotion, but I'm broke inside. I'm broken for my children. I know that I need to get off of these drugs. They're killing me. And if I don't, I'm gonna not wake up one morning. I'm gonna get arrested, thrown in prison, or I'm gonna get a divorce and lose my children. I'm gonna die, Dr. I'm gonna die if I don't get help.
Well, Star and her husband Isaac are here. Let's keep watching what's going on with this family. Now, Star says her daily mission is to find more and more pills. Now, she'll do just about anything to get her hands on them, even breaking the law. Watch this as she goes on a pill run with her son in the back seat of the car.
My mom, she just goes out and tries to find some pills and stuff and tries to get all drugged up on them. I love taking care of my little siblings and stuff, and I don't mind it. It's just, I just kind of wish Mom could be there more for us.
There is an elderly man that I know that takes my choice of drug, which is Vicodin. I have made up an excuse that I have bad menstrual cramps, and he's willing to give me some Vicodin today. I don't know how many, but I'm willing to take whatever he'll give to me. In a sick way, I'm just so excited to go get these pills because I know that they're going to make me happy. I got probably about 12 pills in there, and that's what he gave me, and that'll last maybe me 4 or 5 hours. I'm going to take 6 Vicodin right now and see if that does anything to me. This is good now.
Okay, before I talk to you, how long have you been aware how bad this is?
Just within the last 2 weeks. I just thought my wife might have been a little bit overly stressed, and I thought everything was pretty fine.
Really? You've been deceiving him?
Yes, I have. My whole family.
How much have you taken today?
Today I have not taken pain pills. I wanted to do that to respect your show. I have taken my anti-anxiety medicine.
Which is?
Which is Klonopin, but I also took 2 Valiums, which I'm not prescribed, just to not go through the withdrawals today.
Okay, and how much Klonopin did you take?
I have taken 10 pills today so far.
You've taken 10?
Yes, sir.
To respect the show, you just took 10 Klonopin?
No, not. I took 10 Klonopin to not have withdrawals from the pain pills.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a drug I am prescribed.
Okay, why are you saying that? Why are you saying that's the drug you're prescribed? Because that's legitimate then?
No, it's not legitimate to take it. I'm only supposed to take 3 of those a day, and I've taken 10. My tolerance has just went up and keeps going up.
One of the things I'm real interested in is having a straight up conversation between you and I.
Right.
And if you start lying, this is going to be a real short conversation, and you'll be right back on the plane home, because I'm not going to waste my time or my viewers' time with somebody that's not going to be honest.
I understand.
That's one of the requirements of being here. So I just want to tell you that up front, just because I'd cheat you if I didn't tell you that.
Absolutely.
Because I'd hate for this to end abruptly and you not know why.
Okay.
Okay, you said maybe she was just a little bit stressed. That was kind of your thinking about this. 6 months ago, she was arrested and charged with home invasion and burglary because she entered the home and stole pills from a neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
Did that alert you that there's something really bizarre here? Your wife is charged with home invasion and burglary for drugs, and you didn't think anything about that?
Yes, I did. I didn't read the police report, and I believed what she had told me over the phone when she was asking me to bail her out.
Yeah. So she spent 36 hours in jail and you posted a $50,000 bond?
Something like that.
What'd you tell him?
That I had access to that house. I was a babysitter to their children, and I did have access in that house. The door was unlocked to get the baby I was babysitting, diapers and juice and stuff. But not only taking that, did I look in the medicine cabinet and find pills, and I did take that as well.
Star's husband has threatened to call the police on her, and good for you, if that's what it takes, if she continues to abuse pills. We're going to talk more about this when we come back.
I will do anything that it takes to get everybody to stop giving her these pills. I'm not a saint, you're not a saint, but if I have to call the police on you, I will.
I've taken pills this morning, and my mind is just so far gone. I am so scared. My heart hurts. I throw up in the morning if I don't have my pills to take, and yesterday I took up to 30 Vicodin in one day. And it's like I don't even feel anything anymore.
We're talking to stay-at-home mom who admits to taking 30 to 50 prescription pills a day. Now, while we taped at Star's home, her husband Isaac discovers the depth of her addiction and how many pills his wife is taking.
What do you buy on today? Your regular pills? Answer them, please.
The Vicodin.
And how many did you take today?
12.
12?
I don't want to take the pills. I want to stop.
Well, then stop.
I can't on my own.
Good. Well, maybe when the police get here, they'll make you stop.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah, we'll see.
So that's what you're going to do instead of letting me go get help?
I got little children to take care of.
I'm sick. I'm sick and I need help. You can't call the police on me. I need help.
You think this is a big game?
It's not a game. It's my life, Isaac.
It's not only your life, it's the life of these 4 innocent children.
That.
And mine. You're ruining our lives.
But you don't understand that if I
don't need to
stop
understand.
taking these pills, I will have seizures and I will...
You're not prescribed these pills.
I know, Isaac, but I'm taking them. I want to stop. I just want to stop. I want to stop so bad, and I wish you believed that.
I don't believe anything you have to say. Sorry.
Well, Isaac takes matters into his own hands and calls the person who last gave his wife these pills.
What are you doing to get your pills?
I ain't doing anything to get my pills. Only I got some from.
What kind of pills?
Vicodin.
And how many did you get from them?
She gave me about a week ago. She gave me like 30.
She gave you 30? Yeah. My wife has a problem with pills. I'm gonna ask you nicely not to give her anything. Nothing, not even aspirin. I will do anything that it takes to get everybody to stop giving her these pills. I'm not a saint, you're not a saint, but if I have to call the police on you, I will. I've just had enough of you.
I've had enough of me too.
Okay, who was it that was giving you these pills? I'm not asking for the name. I'm just, who is this? Who's this woman that's giving you these pills?
Somebody that I had met at church, actually.
Somebody that you met at church?
Yeah.
And you told them some lie?
Yep.
That you were hurting and,
yep.
and so they just took it upon themselves to start medicating you?
I just asked and they just gave, basically.
Gave you 30 what?
Vicodin.
30 Vicodin, which lasts you how long?
Oh, maybe
either
a day or a day and a half.
So they gave you 30 Vicodin, which got you through like a Monday. What do you say to yourself when you put them in the car and drive?
I usually leave them home with my 11-year-old when I go. I'm in denial. When I get in the car, I'm in denial. I have one thing on my mind, and that is to get my pills. And when I get my pills, I'm fine. But when I'm coming down, I hate myself. I hate myself for what I've become. I hate myself for what I am doing to my children. I hate myself for not being the mom to those precious angels that deserve better than what I have become.
Do you know how this is affecting your 11-year-old?
I know it's affecting her traumatically, but I probably don't know the extent of it. I know she's angry, I know she's hurt, I know she's mad.
Well, I'm getting ready to play you a tape, and I want you to listen.
My mom's not the same person she used to be because she's on all these medication and pills, and she just misses out on a lot of things. I have to miss some school dances and stuff like that. I just feel that this situation is very sad for me and probably for my younger siblings. I just wish she could be the mom that she used to be to all of us kids. So I wish you, Dr. Phil, will please help my mom.
That breaks my heart. I don't know who I am anymore.
Did it break your heart yesterday? The day before? 6 months ago?
You know it's gotten worse. No, it didn't break my heart 6 months ago. It didn't break my heart 4 months ago. It's probably been in the last month that I have saw it affecting her that it has started to break my heart. And
well, as if this family doesn't have enough to deal with, 3 weeks ago, Star had an affair. Now, Isaac, eventually just had enough, is really contemplating divorce.
My pride is hurt by this affair. When I call a house during the day, we get into a heated argument.
You want me to buzz off? That's what you want me to do? I know I did it wrong, but that is so wrong of him. Where's his compassion?
I'm at the point now to where I am such in a fog, I can't function. I know I'm neglecting my children. I can't go outside. I can't ride bikes with my children. I can't function as a normal mother.
Well, we're talking with a family in serious crisis. Star admits that she's addicted to prescription pain pills, taking upwards of 50 different pills a day. Now, we're discovering a lot about her addiction. Some of it is news to Isaac. Here's more that Star reveals to our cameras.
I believe that my wife has been hiding and taking pills behind my back. I think that maybe she has a stash of pills somewhere.
The pills that I hide from my husband, I just put in this little box. So that's where I basically put my pills when I get them. This is actually a prescription that my husband gets Isaac for his shoulder, that he has not been picking up his prescription for the last 6 months. And I have, and what it is it's a painkiller called Darvocet, and he doesn't know I have them, and obviously I take these.
She's been picking up your prescription.
That doesn't surprise me.
You've been picking them up regular.
Yep.
And taking them.
Yes, I have.
At no time did you ever have a lucid moment where you said, I'm deceiving my husband, I'm cheating my children, I am an absolute drug addict, I'm out of control?
I knew it was wrong, but I never came to the point to where I thought it was out of control.
What do you think I think about this?
I think that you probably think I have chose to take these drugs and that I have neglected my children and I brought this on myself and I should have stopped this a long time ago.
Well, you know, that's pretty much a given. I mean, what you've just described, those aren't matters of controversy. You are neglecting your children, right?
Yes.
You say you hear them crying, but you just don't get up. You just don't respond. I mean, you've let your 11-year-old take care of things, and you probably think this is some unique situation, but I'm handing you a copy of Real Life here. Chapter 9 is addiction. I want you to read just what I've highlighted there at the very beginning of this chapter. Just read that aloud, if you would.
If this is the day when you have become hit square between the eyes with the reality that you have a genuine addiction, are a junkie, a dope fiend, or a drunk, then let me be very clear, your life is in danger. If you are functioning in this world, parenting children, driving a car, or performing other activities that can affect others, you may also be putting other people's lives in danger.
Do you believe that?
Absolutely.
And you're doing that,
And
right?
that's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, it goes on. Let me read a little part of this. I don't care how smart you are, how sophisticated you are, or how nice a house you live in. If you're a drug addict or an alcoholic, you are out of control and you better wake up right now. I wrote this before I met you, right? Don't con yourself into thinking that the situation is different if you get the substance legally versus scoring it from some dealer in a dark alley. The fact that you have a prescription signed by a doctor folded up in your purse or pocket doesn't change the power and life-threatening nature of this addiction. It also doesn't matter if you started taking the drugs for a legitimate reason. If you're now doctor hopping or getting drugs off the internet or anywhere else, you're no different from somebody buying them from a dealer on the street. So we just got to be really square up honest about what we're talking about here, right?
And I agree with that.
And it's a puzzle to me how you could not see this. I assume you just don't want to see it. How do you feel about the affair?
I'm very sad. I'm very hurt. But I also have a deep, deep love for my wife. She could, I would do anything to help her. And I do just about anything for her. And I hold her on the highest of pedestals. It's not that maybe I just wasn't looking hard enough, or I didn't want to see those kind of things.
How does it feel to hear him say that after everything that you've done to him and to his children?
That I do not deserve him, that I don't deserve my children right now. I'm very lucky to have a man that is willing to support me after causing so much pain to him and neglecting our children.
Well, let's see what happens. She tells Isaac what she's done. I mean, let's take a look at how that came down.
My pride is hurt by this affair. It makes me feel like I'm not a good enough man for my wife. When I call a house during the day, if we get into a heated argument, I would call her a slut.
It's not helping when you tell that to me. I love you and these kids, and I'm sorry. Believe it or not, I am hurting as much as you are hurting. You want me to buzz off? That's what you want me to do? You know, I am just tired. I am here. He knows what's going on. And what does he say? Don't cry to your boyfriend, the guy that I had the affair with. He is so inconsiderate right now. For God's sake, I know I did wrong, but that is so wrong of him. Where's his compassion?
You guys do this in front of your children.
We do.
What in the world?
We're not thinking, I'm not thinking. It's out of control and something has to stop now.
Well, Star received a phone call that shook her and her family to their core. Next, we'll see what brought Star to the real edge. Well, Isaac is torn between his compassion for his wife and knowing that she has an addiction and the hurt that he feels about her affair. Now, in the middle of all this chaos, our cameras were there in their home when Star received a devastating phone call telling her that her mother's cancer had returned.
I'm mad because this drug has taken over everybody's life, and my mom is sitting here fighting for cancer and fighting for life, and I didn't even know it. And she's worried about me and my stupid addiction that I chose. I am such a burden. I hate this. I hate my life. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have these kids. I'm just such a burden. I hate who I've become. I am so sorry, children. Mommy's gonna get well, and I'm gonna stop taking those stupid pills, okay? I'm going to. You hear me? Love you, baby girl.
Now that's your 11-year-old daughter that takes care of the other 3 kids when you're high and zonked out and knocked out. Consider this question very carefully and answer it completely honestly.
Okay.
You would rather be alone and take your pills than you would to be with your children or your husband. Isn't that true?
At this point, Dr. Phil, I would rather get off the pills and get sober.
Well, I hear what you're saying as you sit here in this chair, but that's not how you've been living your life.
No, that's not.
You would leave the kids, you would leave the 11-year-old taking care of the others,
You're
you would
right.
go off so you could hide and take the pills,
And
right?
I would pick the pills over my children and my husband, and that's what I have done, and that's what my actions have shown.
Do you get that that's what you're up against here?
Yes.
You know, she would rather go off and be alone with her addiction than she would to be with you or be with the kids.
Yes, I understand that.
And logically, in the back of your mind, you know that's sick.
It's very
But
sick.
behaviorally, emotionally, you continue to do it.
I don't know how to stop Dr. Phil by myself.
What do you think is going to happen to your kids if you continue like you are?
I will get a divorce, and my husband will get full custody. They will be without a mother.
And then what will you do?
I will either end up in prison or dead.
You'll end up in prison because you'll be robbing somebody,
Absolutely.
or you'll be driving under the influence and kill somebody, and you're going to wind up in jail.
Right, or I'll kill myself. I won't wake up one morning. That's what's going to happen.
You said you were willing to come on and talk about this to help her to get help, but that you want a divorce. Are you done? Are you through?
Yeah. If I don't see any action on her part, I'm going to have to be selfish for a change and just think about me and my kids and just let her go on her own way.
Because you have a duty to those children, right?
Yes, sir.
You have a duty to get them out of this situation,
Yes, I do.
whatever it takes.
Yes, I do.
You have a duty to get them out. I mean, and how do you feel as a mother to hear that he has a duty to protect his children from you?
It makes me feel sick that it has came to this, but thank God that he is sober and can see that, and I know my children will be taken care of by him if I do not get help.
Well, one of the things we have to deal with is what do you do now? How deadly is the combination of drugs that Star is taking? Is it lethal? Could it be? And could she stop if she wanted to? We're going to get some very straight answers about just how dangerous this all is when we come back. Star says she takes anywhere from 30 to 50 different pills a day, but by my calculation, she could have 62 pills in her system at any one time based on what she says she's taken. Dr. Lisa Masterson is a top OBGYN in the country and one of the hosts of the new hit show, The Doctors. Now, Lisa, let's talk about this for a minute, if we could. She says she's taken as many as 30 Vicodin a day, 12 Darvocet, 10 Klonopin, and if she has them, 8 Percocet, 3 Oxycontin, 3 Valium, Effexor, Wellbutrin. I mean, it just goes on. And I calculate that she's taking about 23,250 milligrams of pills a day. Now, what is she up against physically here?
You could have respiratory distress, you could die that way, you could die of cardiovascular arrest, you could have a heart attack, you could have a stroke. You're really affecting your health now and down the line. This is going to affect your health if you don't stop. And we know that you started with postpartum depression, which I see as an OB all the time, and it's very important to get treated for that. You've traded that for the other medications, and the dosage that you're taking is just phenomenally huge.
Okay, now what would happen at this point if, as Isaac would like her to do, as anyone common-sensical would like her to do, if she just stopped, all of a sudden, just stopped taking this, just went cold turkey, didn't take another pill, anything, ever?
That could also affect your health. You could go through withdrawal symptoms that could actually shut down some of your organs. You cannot do this on your own. You need help. You absolutely need help. And you may need medications to stop. You may to replace the ones that you're on until your body starts to adjust. This is a physical dependence as well as, emotional.
So she could have extreme agitation, vomiting, tremors, seizures.
Absolutely.
Insomnia. I mean, it could start spiraling down if she just quits this. I mean, she could die from it.
Right, absolutely. It could be such a shock to your body. That's why you have to do it gradually or with other medications, but definitely under supervision, because your body could go into shock and your heart could stop, your breathing could stop from that. It's very important, and I know you want to be around for your kids.
I do. And particularly for the people at home, I want Dr. Masterson to talk for a second about the fact of picking these different medicines and mixing them together, because some of these things can potentiate other things and cause them to be even more powerful, more influential. What happens when people just, on their own, without physician supervision, start mixing these medications like she's doing?
Absolutely. They can interact with each other, and they can make them even more powerful. So it doesn't even matter if you're taking 10 times the dosage of that. When you mix them together, it can be equal to 30 or 50 times. You are playing Russian roulette here. At any one point in time, that could be it, and you could stop breathing. You could absolutely stop breathing, and your heart could stop. I mean, each day that you have done this, you have been gambling your life and your child's life away. I know that's difficult to listen to, and I hope you're not breastfeeding with your 10-month-old. Okay, good, because that passes on to the baby, and that's really, really important not to do.
In terms of motor skills, judgment, reaction times, taking 23,000 milligrams of Vicodin, Darvocet, Klonopin, Percocet, Oxycontin, how do you suppose that would affect her ability to operate a motor vehicle?
Absolutely, it's going to affect it. Right now, they have put out some warnings about antidepressants and even the pain medications about whether or not people should be driving or working while they're on them. We know they impair the ability. We don't know to what extent. That should be looked into. But obviously, when you're taking care of small children or just doing daily things, you are not going to be doing them the way you should. And, you really need to be there 100% for them. You're really putting your life at risk behind a wheel, other people's lives at risk.
And you have driven with the kids in the car?
Yes,
under the influence?
Yes, I have.
And you've gone to carpool, you've pulled up where kids are running around, you've done all the things that you do with your kids and other people's kids in a line of fire.
Absolutely.
Is that shocking to you?
It's
that she would put her children in the car after taking 23,000 milligrams of mind-altering drugs?
I'm just completely shocked by the whole situation. I didn't even know.
Well, addiction is really not, I see it very common in my practice. And a lot of women try and hide it. A lot of times it's with alcohol. You have to realize you're not alone. That's not an excuse, but you are not going to get over it alone. Absolutely not. And so it's not surprising, and the guilt has to go, but you have to take over and get help.
So the question is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Is there a way out of this? We're going to discuss all of that when we come back. Well, I've written a new book called Real Life, Preparing for the 7 Most Challenging Days of Your Life. And it talks about 7 different days. One of them is when addiction touches you or somebody you love. I've been talking with a family today that has a lot of critical choices to make here. And we have to kind of prioritize these things. Isaac, your marriage is in trouble here. You strike me as somebody that's kind of full up to here with all of this. But you seem torn. I mean, I believe you love her. I believe you love the family. But yet she's lied to you. She's deceived you. She's cheated on you. And that's an issue that's going to have to be dealt with here. I think you're going to have to deal with that. I think you're going to have to deal with it. But we have more important things that are on the top of that priority list right now. Lisa, you believe her life is in danger, right?
Absolutely. With the dosages that you're taking, it's a wonder you're still sitting here alive right now. Somebody's watching over you, but how long that's going to last is...
So you got a dead woman walking here. I mean, it's just, I mean, Lisa said it, she's just playing Russian roulette. Will it be today? Will it be tomorrow? Who knows? She's going to die if something doesn't happen. Now, you may decide you want to get a divorce. You may want to kick her to the curb. You may want to take your kids and run for the hills. And that's something that you're going to have to deal with across time. But right now, your wife and the mother of your children's life is in danger. You know that you're going to have to go into a rehab facility. You know that you are going to have medical supervision to titrate off of these medications that you are abusing. They're going to have to go through detox to get them out of your tissues, get them out of your organs, get them out of your system. It's not going to be an easy thing, and I can tell you it's not going to be a pleasant thing. Now, you think you've had the flu before, you're getting ready to have the flu really bad, because you're going to feel like you've just been run over. But there's no choice. It's either do that or die. I mean, to me, those are your choices. It's either get medical supervision to get off of these drugs, get myself rehabilitated, or die. Those seem to be the 2 options to me, and I don't know.
And I choose to get help.
Can you support her doing this? Will you stand behind her while she does this? Are you prepared to take care of your children if she goes away?
Yes, I am.
She's not much help now. I mean, she's just there putting their lives at risk. I mean, she could set the house on fire. She could fall asleep at the wheel. She could do, I mean, she's no help to you now.
Nope.
You're better off with her out of the picture.
That's right.
Rich Whitman is here. He is the Chief Operating Officer for La Hacienda, which in my opinion is the cutting-edge rehabilitation facility in America today. And Rich, you've been listening to this. You've been hearing all of this. And what I'm saying to her is she's got to do something about this or she's not going to make it. Can you help her?
Absolutely, we can help her. I was amazed, Dr. Phil, when I read some of the information on her the day that, how many Oxycontin you took in one day. It really should have killed her. It really should have killed you that day. I can't believe you are sitting there.
If we make the arrangements for you to go there and go through the detox, to go through the meds, to take yourself out, you won't be seeing your children, you won't be seeing your husband. You've got a big job to do. Are you willing to make that sacrifice? Are you willing to get down there and fight for your life?
Yes, I am, Dr.
Because let me tell you, you're going to be there whatever it takes to give you a chance to, no kidding, become a wife and a mother and a human being again. Now, I'm offering that to you if you're willing to grab on and take it.
Thank you, and I want the help.
Will you take her?
If she'll go now, up, gone, now.
You're not going to give her a chance to go home and OD, go home and get high?
No, we're going to toss your, we're going to look through your suitcases. We have to, because I believe that you're a trustworthy lady, but I really believe that your illness will stand right up and lie to me as soon as we get behind those curtains.
We're talking about you don't pass go, you don't collect $200, you go get help now.
Okay.
Stage to the facility.
Okay.
All right, next, where you can find answers if you or your loved one faces addiction. We'll be right back. You know, when I do these shows, I often wonder what those of you here in the audience and those of you at home think about what I do and how I do it. I know it probably seems like I'm really hard on some of these folks like Star. But let me tell you, I've been doing this a long time. And when people are this far gone, you got to jerk a knot in their tail. I mean, you got to get their attention, get their focus, and put clear choices right in front of them. Here's the reality. Here are the choices. You have a decision to make. And as I said, the deal is she goes from the stage to the rehab facility. She doesn't go home. She doesn't this. She doesn't that, because I'll guarantee you she would abuse if she did. It's just that difficult, and you got to step up and do it. Addiction is one of the worst diseases out there, but it is treatable. We have very sophisticated intervention protocols for this now. And if you or someone you know struggles with this, there are answers. And in the book that I've just written, Real Life, in the back of it, like the last 7,500 pages are devoted to different sorts of resources and things you can read, websites you can go to, treatment facilities you can go to. There's a resource guide back there that points you in the direction of all of these different things that might be able to help you. Go to drphil.com for more on what you can do to get back to better days. A special thanks to Rich at La Hacienda for being willing to open the doors. And also a special thanks to Dr. Lisa Masterson, one of the co-hosts of the new show, The Doctors. I appreciate her candor and input as well. For all of you, we'll see you next time. Thanks. Today on Dr. Phil. Would you let a 9-year-old take the subway alone?
I could never, ever, ever.
If you never let them do it, they're going to be blithering idiots.
You break out in a rash even thinking about it.
I did. I had a physical reaction.
And are you a helicopter mom? You drive by with your headlights off so you can look in the windows at her friend's house. Well, do you think she doesn't know you're stalking her?
Well, now she does.
We debate extreme parenting. Today, it's appointment television for all parents. And while we're getting ready to start the show, I want every parent watching this to think about this question. Is it better to hover over your children, never let them out of your sight in an effort to keep them safe at all times, or to be hands-off and give them some freedom because you feel it will help them learn the life skills they need, like independence and responsibility? We're going to drill down on this hot-button issue, but first, I want you to meet Izzy. You won't believe what Izzy was allowed to do all by himself at 9 years old. Izzy, how you doing?
Good.
So were you scared?
I wasn't scared at all.
Not scared a bit?
No.
So would you do it again?
I would do it as many times as I want.
Just no problem, just go do it. All right, stay tuned and see if you would let your 9-year-old do what Izzy's mom decided he was capable of doing on his own.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
Some say it's a hard life, but it's hard for us all. Always hold on.
In 10,
Always
9,
be strong. Reach out.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Stand by, camera 6. Go, Dr. Phil.
In this day and time, parents are bombarded with all kinds of dangers their kids can fall prey to. Molesters, cyber stalking, predators, drugs, bullies, the list just goes on and on. But how far should a parent go to ensure their child's protection, and how far is too far? Now, today we're going to talk about what's best for your kids. But first, I want you to meet Lenore. She's a mom who feels kids today need more freedom and says she's starting a free-range kids movement. Take a look.
Obviously, every mom wants their kid to have a happy childhood. But for me, that involves some freedom. I let Izzy get someplace by himself, go to the park, meet up with a friend without me hovering all the time. Helicopter parents, the new term that everybody's using, are called that because they're hovering over their children all the time. They always have an eye on their children. So my response to that is to have free-range kids. Going to the store, walking to school, getting a hot dog. These are things that any 9 or 10-year-old is capable of. You cannot avoid every situation in life that may end up being a little bit dangerous. If they learn how to cross the street by themselves, they learn how to take a bus, they're capable of it if we let them do it. But if you never let them do it, they're going to be blithering idiots. A child who doesn't think he can do anything, he's told he can't, eventually really can't.
Well, Lenore put her own theory to the test. She left her 9-year-old son, Izzy, in the handbag department at Bloomingdale's with $20, a map, and a New York City Metro card. And here's what happened next.
I let Izzy take the subway by himself when he was 9 because, first of all, he asked us if he could.
I wanted to feel like I was part of everybody else, not just a little kid who has to do everything their parents tell them to.
He knows how to read a map, he can speak English, he's familiar with the subways. We feel the city is safe, and especially the subways are safe. So we decided it was time. I didn't think there was anything difficult about taking a subway ride on a sunny Sunday afternoon. Lots of people around. You know, what is so weird about a kid being able to get around his own city? It didn't seem dangerous and it didn't seem crazy. It seemed fun. And then all hell broke loose. It's kind of amazing to me that people are calling me America's worst mom, because I'm not. What I'm giving my children is the exact same kind of childhood their parents gave them.
I think all of the parents are making too big of a deal out of it.
I just think of it as living your life like a normal kid as opposed to being hovered over. He's capable of getting out there and enjoying life without us watching every second.
Okay. Cute kid.
Why, thank you.
And a great kid. I mean, I was just talking to him.
agree, right?
He's super smart and obviously a precocious young man.
I don't know if he's so precocious.
Well,
but
why did you decide to do this?
he was familiar with the subways. I think of the city as safe. Statistically, it is really safe. And he wanted to do it. And my husband and I discussed it, and we thought, okay, he was ready. He knew how to read the map. We let him do it.
He knew how to read the map, and so he left Bloomingdale's.
Mm-hmm.
It's the original
Had to
Bloomingdale's.
find his way out of
on
Bloomingdale's,
59th Street. That's the hardest thing. Is
it's impossible.
finding a way you
But
get
he
out of
did.
that multi-floor thing.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Then he had to get to the subway.
Yeah.
And then he had to ride the subway to a certain place, and he took a bus.
Right.
Okay, let's take a look at the map. Okay.
Let's see what it looks
So, okay, here's the map. He left Bloomingdale's. He walked down, got on the subway, went down to 34th Street, took a bus down 2nd to 23rd.
like. That's us, yeah.
Okay.
Now you can come and visit, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, here's a flip side statistic that a lot of people would talk about. Let me see
Okay, let's see.
this next map. Okay.
Oh, I know what this is.
Yeah.
It's like child molesters in the neighborhood.
Actually, it's not just child molesters in the neighborhood. It's what we asked was how many child molesters were within 1 mile of this route. And those dots don't represent one person because they were so concentrated that you couldn't get them all up there. There were 357 level 2 or 3 child molesters within 1 mile of that route, meaning that this is probably their primary source of transportation along the way.
And then
That's the flip side.
Right.
Okay.
But what I wrote in my article is that there's millions of people in New York City. There's 8 million people in New York City. And when Izzy was on the subway, he was surrounded by hundreds of people who I'm assuming would help him because most strangers are really good. And he knows, we've taught him about stranger danger. I mean, he knows not to go with some guy who asks, please help me find my puppy, or do you want some free candy or whatever. So I think if you teach your kids awareness of what they do have to be worried about, and then there's the whole rest of the world sort of out there watching out for them and the kid watching out for himself, I do think it's safe.
When he knows his address and he knows his phone number and he knows, I mean, well, I want people to know that.
Yeah,
because
he
this
does.
isn't
Yeah, no, he
where you
wasn't
just like took some kid that had never been in the sun and pushed him out and said, we'll either see you again or we won't.
Well, it's funny because that's how people are reacting to me. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, you have another son. This must have been your spare. You know, like somebody thought, why would I give him a day of fun knowing that he was probably going to be molested by the end of the day? It's not what I thought. I thought he'd get home safely, and he did.
I actually don't think it was reckless, and I know I'll get
good.
1,000 emails
No, you'll get one
about
from me,
that because
hooray.
I don't think it was reckless because I've met your son, and you know, he's obviously a very thoughtful young man, but I think it requires preparation, and you've done that.
But I think that anybody could do that with their kid, even at 7 or 8, get them ready to start walking to school. These are things that people have stopped doing. Let them ride to the local pool and, you know, let them have a day on their own.
Well, let's poll the audience. How many of you say, I absolutely would not do something like... Now, I know you don't know New York, and it's probably scary to you if you haven't been to New York, but I'm talking about in your own towns or whatever. How many of you would say, I would not do that with a 9-year-old? Most of you say no. How many of you say, yeah, I would do it?
I have to say that's why I started my blog, freerangekids.com, because there are a lot of people who do think that it's a good time to start moving back from the pendulum having swung to being so scared.
It depends on the child.
Yeah.
It depends on their age. It depends on their child. It depends on their awarenesses and their competencies and those sort of things. So, I mean, it doesn't mean you just go lock the kids out of the house and watch the rest of the show. You got to decide. You got to decide. You know what your children are prepared to do. Now, some say Lenore's decision was extreme. We're going to meet a mom who thinks Lenore is absolutely crazy for doing this when we come back.
When Madeline's in her room, I listen in through the door. I'd go to her cheerleading practices and park down the street.
We call her Psycho because that's how she acts.
All right, eavesdropping, surveillance, spy games. Now, we're not talking about the CIA today. We're talking about snooping moms who admit that they go to extremes to keep tabs on their kids 24/7. And we're getting to the bottom of just what type of parenting is best for the child. I mean, Is it best to turn them loose and let them run some? Is it best to smother them and keep them on a short leash so you can protect them? Now, Lenore and Maria have very different opinions. While Lenore thinks kids have a right to some freedom, Maria says she's constantly hovering over her 3 children, especially her 17-year-old daughter, Madeline. She says on a hover mom scale of 1 to 10, she's about a 12.
I have OTT syndrome, which is over-the-top mothering. Madeline, my daughter, refers to me as her psycho mother. Why don't you pick the phone up?
We call her Psycho because that's how she acts.
Who'd you sit with in the cafeteria? What are you doing tonight?
I'm not sure yet. She likes to be in control of everything.
When Madeline's in her room, I listen in through the door. I'd go to her cheerleading practices and park down the street.
My mom always follows me in her car anywhere I go, whether it's down the street to my friend's house, a football game, out for coffee.
I turn off the headlights so she doesn't see me, and I glide by. Spying sounds so tawdry, but that's what I do.
My mom constantly calls me on the cell phone, even when I'm in the house.
What are you studying for?
Anatomy.
If I can't get them, I call the friends' numbers.
When I was in middle school, the school was right across the street from us.
My son is at recess across the street. I get my high-powered binoculars out. I think I have scared every available male in the state away from Madeline. She brought a boy home. I asked him to pee in a cup to test for drugs. I wanted to get his DNA before he left the house.
People have the Beware of Dog sign on their front porch. I should have Beware of Mom on it.
Okay, so we'll get to your situation in a minute. You think she's crazy.
Yeah, you can say it. I think she's crazy.
She doesn't need your permission to say it. Okay?
I do.
Do you or don't you?
There's different variances of crazy, and perhaps we both are on different levels. I could never, ever, ever let my 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11, 12, 13-year-old on a subway.
Yeah, tell me why.
Here's what I think. We're caregivers of these children for a very short time, and to protect them every day is my job, and I apologize, but it's just kind of throwing them in harm's way, I think. I'm sure you live in a lovely neighborhood.
Well, you say you break out in a rash even thinking about it.
God, I did. I had a physical reaction.
But let me ask you one question. Do you ever drive your kids anywhere? Do you drive them?
Yes.
Do you know that your child is 40 times more likely to die in a car crash than being abducted from the street? 40 times?
Probably not in my little town.
Anywhere. I mean, you don't know.
I just think it's so asking for trouble. There's bad people around every corner.
But there are bad people around every corner. That's what, you know. Do you watch a lot of cable TV? Do you see you've heard a girl like in Portugal who was stolen? I mean, we hear these stories from so far away that are
not
such
so far away.
Portugal's far away.
No, not so far away. There was a girl my daughter's age that went to Target school shopping and came out and was never seen again. These are the things I replay in my...
I know, but if you replay them, you won't let your kids do anything.
They can do whatever they want. I'm getting a GPS chip implanted in each.
You know what? I talked to the guy who runs the company. You can't implant them, only in a pet. It's not a pet.
Can I put an electrical collar on them so when they go too far they get
Here's
shot?
the question, and this is your daughter, okay?
Yeah.
Maria's 17-year-old daughter, Madeline, is here today, and how does this affect you?
I can't be like, well, you know, I'm having this problem with this friend or another friend, because she goes into hyper mode and she...
So you're basically walling yourself off
Yeah.
because of what her reactions would be.
That's correct.
I mean, is that what you want? I mean, it's not.
No, that's why I'm here. I need to disengage from this poor girl. I'm a...
What a nice mom, though. What a nice mom, right?
Okay, well, here, let's talk about what you call being engaged. I mean, you say you call her 8 to 10 times a day. She doesn't pick up, you start calling her friends.
Yes.
If she's late for curfew, which she shouldn't be if you've negotiated that, I mean, you'll call her like a dozen times.
Oh, yeah.
You drive by with your headlights off so you can look in the windows at her friend's house?
Well, I'd make sure her car is there and she's inside, where she says she's supposed to be.
Okay, why are your lights off?
Well, because she might see me out the window.
Well, do you think she doesn't know you're stalking her?
Well, now she does.
I mean, you're going to run over somebody else's daughter coming home from the subway because you got your lights off. I mean, That's your danger with.
Watching out for her, yeah.
That's your danger with Izzy, that she's going to run over him as he comes home from the bus.
I negotiate very carefully. The road is very easy to navigate at night when I have my pajamas on.
What do you mean
and a hood over my head?
What do you mean you interrogate? What do you mean you interrogate her friends and boyfriends? That's fun to bring your friends home for the Inquisition, right?
She's just shaking her
Yeah,
head.
you know, like every time I bring them home, it's just like she's on top of them as soon as I bring them in the door.
Okay, but here's the question. If you don't allow her to go a little further and a little further and a little further, is she gonna wind up at 30 years old with 2 kids in the back waiting for you to come over and drive them to the store?
I hope so. No. Here's why I'm scared. She's going to be ready for college soon, and I need to just leave her alone because I'm terrified that...
Okay, but did you come here to justify all this, or did you come here to change it? Because she describes you as psycho mom.
I know, that's unfortunate. But I understand it.
Do you understand that the #1 most efficient way in the world to protect children is to prepare them to self-protect? You, on the other hand, are crippling her. Okay?
Yeah. I know.
You don't mean to.
I don't.
But no, here's what you're doing, though. Here's what you're doing. What you're doing is you're saying, okay, I've got a choice to make. I can either prepare her to be competent in life, or I can make myself feel better in the moment. So it's a very selfish thing you're doing. I know you don't mean it that way, but do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
It's kind of like you do it so you can feel good. The heck with her.
I just love her so much that it comes across as such an extreme smothering.
Okay, but you apparently love yourself more because you're putting your needs above hers.
That's so sad.
Isn't it, though?
It is.
All right, we're going to add another mom to the mix when we come back.
I have 2 boys, and I normally don't let them get out of sight.
Right here, Mom.
I fear that somebody will mistreat the boys, or they'll get hurt real bad, and they'll need me, and I won't be there. No, stay here. No, you stay here. Zachary?
So I was reading this book about like helicoptery parents that like hover too much. And those kind of parents would like flip out right now that she just did that. But you know what? Sometimes you get into a box you found in an alley and you fall down and things happen. Here's the deal, moms. Kids get sick and kids fall down and they get germs and we all have to deal with it. I mean, there was really something to be said for how my mom parented, which was opening up the door in the summer and saying, get out, come back when it's dark.
All right, the mom you just saw in that clip is Daphne. Now, she's a comic, host of TV Guide channel show, and also has a video blog called coolmom.com. Now, Daphne's joining us here today. She agrees with Lenore and thinks that these helicopter hover moms, like Maria here, need to let go and lighten up. True?
Yes, very true. I think as soon as you're a mom, it's inherent you're a neurotic and anxious nightmare, and you always have to fight it. And I found the first time I was taking my daughter for shots, and I was crying as much as she was, and something flipped in me, and I was like, hey, I'm the mom. I need to, sack up here.
Well, see, here's the thing that I've said a million times. The way children learn to believe in themselves and to have confidence is they watch themselves, just like they were sitting back watching another person. They watch themselves go through the world. They watch themselves master a task. Like I talk to mothers all the time that say, my children are 11 years old and they have never spent a night away from me. And I think, oh, how sad that you're bragging about that. Because children need to learn that, hey, mom and dad went away, and what do you know? They came back. And I was okay while they were gone. I didn't fall apart. I didn't go down. What message are you sending to your daughter when you say, I can't let you out of my sight?
No, but she's not a bumbling idiot. She's very smart and...
No, but you don't want them to be okay in spite of you.
I know.
You want them to be okay because of you.
You're right. I know you're right.
All right, I want to add Sarah to this conversation. She admits that her sons, 12-year-old Christopher and 8-year-old Zachary, are almost never allowed to be more than a few steps away from her. Now, Sarah says she has an overwhelming fear of the boys being abducted. Take a look.
I have 2 boys. Christopher's the oldest, he's 12, and Zachary, he's the youngest, he's 8 years old. And I always keep him where I can see him. No, stay here. No, you stay here. Zachary? Christopher, wait. Christopher, come here. We're turning. When I drop them off in the morning, I hang around the school quite a bit. Zachary hasn't seen me yet. There he is. Okay. I fear that somebody will mistreat the boys or they'll get hurt real bad and they'll need me and I won't be there. When Zachary asks if he can go to a friend's house, I usually say, no, not today. I let both the boys go to birthday parties, but I stay the whole time. I just worry that they're going to just be abducted. Chris, right here, Mom. My biggest fear is that I'm gonna push them away and they're never gonna come home.
Okay, so you just don't let them out of your sight.
No, not normally.
Do you think this is reasonable? Are you defending this, or?
I want to change it before I do push them away.
Okay, but you understand that you understand this is a process, and that when you smother kids, listen, it is the natural progression of our species that children grow up and break away from their parents. They rebel, they break away. They're supposed to. Now, we have a bunch of retread kids that go to college and then move back home, but what's supposed to happen is they're supposed to grow up and break away. And the more you smother them, the more they just want to break away. You are sealing your fate that they will rebel and run from you and wall you off and cut you off in their life. Am I telling the truth?
You are, yeah. The things that she's so insistent about me not doing, I'm like, well, makes me want to do it even more, so.
No, it's the taboo factor.
No,
it's the taboo factor. If you put it on the to-do list, it takes on mystique and they want it even more.
Oh, I don't want to hear that.
Okay, what's the biggest health risk to being a hover mom? We'll answer that when we come back.
I can't go to the library alone, the park alone. I can't even go to the mall to go shopping with my girlfriends.
There's me and there's you. Okay? Now, how are you going to defend yourself if some guy comes up to grab you and pulls you off in the weeds or something? Okay, is it better to be a helicopter mom who hovers over her kids to keep them safe, or a hands-off mom who teaches independence? Now, that's kind of a loaded question because obviously I've said I think you can hover too much, but there is a question of where is the line? Do you get that this is about you, not about her? You're not doing this to protect her because it doesn't. In fact, it cripples her. It takes away her ability to cope with life.
That's my fear.
It's not a matter of fear. You are keeping her from learning certain things because it makes you feel better for her not to.
You're right.
At some point, you got to say, I need to deal with my issues with me and not make her pay for my anxiety. It's like, you know, it's like if you're learning to fly an airplane and all they do is teach you to take off. And, oh, I'm not going to let you land because it scares me too much. Okay? And so then you're gone one day for whatever reason, and she has to land and can't because she never learned to do that. You remember we let Jay come home from France, and he wound up getting routed through Amsterdam and didn't have enough money for a ticket.
Can I say that was probably one of his happiest memories because he got his way through it, right?
How old was he?
He was 13, 14?
No, he was 15.
Yeah. He was in his mid-teens, and he got there and didn't have enough money, and he talked to some lady in line, and she said, how much you need? He said, 13 bucks. So she gave it to him, he got a ticket, and came home. And he's learned how to do things that way.
And that's a huge memory, obviously, for the whole family, because that was a time when something went really wrong, when the parents weren't there to protect him, and he muddled through, and everybody felt better afterwards.
I was raised with parents that let me be that way, so I don't know what this is about. I was raised with freedom.
But what you know is it's not about her. And the message that you don't want to give to your daughter here, who's obviously a very competent young woman, you don't want to give her the message that she's inadequate.
Oh, God, no.
But isn't that the message? You're inadequate to handle this without me driving by the house. You're inadequate to be at the mall without me at the other end with binoculars. You're inadequate to do all of these things without me calling you 10 times a day. And because of your inadequacy, I will fill the void as Supermom. And so she feels that big, and you get your fix at the moment, and off we go.
I don't like the sound of that. But you're right.
You know what, also, the way it starts out, like, I mean, I don't think I'm a particularly brave mom, even though it sounds that way just from the subway incident. But it's just letting her do a little something,
She's perfectly capable.
She can go to the mall and come back safe, you'll see.
All right, coming up, we're following up with an overprotective mother and her daughter who both came here desperate for help. Now, they haven't been here once, they've been here twice. And I apparently haven't done a very good job. The last time we saw them was 3 years ago. Wait till you see what her hovering has done to their relationship now.
Ashley, don't forget to call me.
Okay, I will.
My mom is so overprotective, it just drives me crazy.
It terrifies me when Ashley's out of my sight.
All of your monitoring, all of your vigilance, in my opinion, is making her more vulnerable. What we're talking about today is, can you be too overprotective with your kids? Can you be too reckless with your kids? And the answer is yes. Parenting extremes are a problem. What you're looking for is that balance that matches your parenting style and strategy to your child's personality, to their competencies, and hopefully we shape them into being able to stand on their own 2 feet. Now, we conducted a poll on drphil.com to see where you, the viewer, stand regarding this issue, and the results were pretty interesting. According to our poll, when asked which is the better parenting approach, helicopter or hands-off, 69% of you responded that helicopter parenting is best. When asked if it's okay to allow a child under 10 to be unsupervised in public, 92% said no. And that's because there wasn't a spot for hell no, okay? Yet, when we ask if hovering over your child's every move is a good or bad parenting decision, 79% said bad idea, not good. Now, Teresa and her daughter Ashley first came to this show to deal with Teresa's overprotectiveness. And like some that we have on the show today, Mom said, I'm here to change it, not to defend it. This all started when Ashley was only 12.
Ashley, don't forget to call me.
Okay, I will.
My mom is so overprotective, it just drives me crazy.
Don't forget, as soon as you're done, call me. It terrifies me when Ashley's out of my sight.
You're going to raise an either overdependent or rebellious child.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to let go some if you negotiate her cooperation in it. Will you consider it?
I will.
Really?
I will.
I didn't believe it then. 2 years later, Teresa and 14-year-old Ashley were back again.
Dr. Phil, last time we were on your show, your advice was great, but my mom is still overprotective.
You don't even trust your own husband to watch your children.
No. Ashley's going to a homeschooling program for high school. If she's homeschooled, I can keep her safe. I can keep her away from the kids that are doing the horrible things and try to shield her from that stuff.
The best way to protect your children is to prepare them to protect themselves. All of your monitoring, all of your vigilance, in my opinion, is making her more vulnerable. Well, that was more than 3 years ago. Ashley is now 17. We've been on the air so long, these kids are growing up. She's a high school senior. Teresa fears her overprotective parenting has now backfired. Oh, really? Really? Was my mic not working? She calls her 17-year-old daughter Ashley rebellious. And I quote, rotten.
Last time we were on Dr. Phil's show, he told me that I needed to be less protective and let Ashley be her own person. I've tried, but, she's been rebellious.
She still hovers. She hasn't changed a bit. I have a bad attitude with her, I'm not gonna lie.
You were supposed to answer your phone when I call.
Ticket that I get after I...
You've already got a ticket for it.
Or do I pay the $175 after the second one?
Oh, should have got the first one. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't your fault. You were on the phone driving. The cop's fault. The cop. Oh, it was the cop's fault because he gave you a ticket? Okay, Ash. Huh?
I've basically told my mom once I turn 18 that I'm gonna make my own rules.
She says that she hates me, that I'm the worst mom.
I think my mom needs to cut the cord for both of us.
Okay, you think your mom what?
She's cut the cord.
Yeah, cut the cord. You're 17?
Yeah.
Okay, ready to go off to college pretty soon?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
But that,
you
I can
think
guarantee
no.
you.
She's not mature enough. She's still not mature enough. She can't get up until like noon. Okay, so if you're going to college, you have to be up at like 7 a.m., do your classes. I don't always have to be on her to do her classes. She doesn't do her classes. She's homeschooled and she still can't do her stuff on time.
Okay.
Yeah, she's homeschooled.
So it's to the point that you're reaping what you have sown.
Somewhat.
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 Come on.
You told me last time I forgot the terms that you used, but I'm not that way.
Now, how do you argue with that? You told me something I don't remember, but you were wrong.
Well, no, I forgot the phrase that you, or the term that you used,
Okay,
but I was.
But you've been watching the show today?
I have.
Right, you've been watching from
and I
back
agree
here.
with Marie.
You agree with Marie?
I do.
Okay. So, as I am off apt to ask, how's it working for you?
I guess not so great.
All right, I got to take a break. Next, is Teresa right to keep Ashley on a short leash? And if you're having these concerns with your teenager, find out what I think you should do to shape them in the right direction when we come back.
My mom's starting to treat my brother like she did with me. I can see it coming through.
Oh, DJ. Hug me back like you mean it, Dylan. Ow!
He's afraid of being alone with other people and not around her because she's always with him. I have a warning for all the helicopter moms. There's something in teenagers that when there's a rule, we don't want to follow it. And when you overpower and keep saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, it just makes us want to do it more.
All right, today we're talking to moms who say they've made some extreme and controversial parenting decisions. Now, Teresa, do you agree that you're an overprotective mom, or you just think you're protective?
No, I do. I believe
You think
I
you're overprotective? Because the other two times you've been here, you've said, I agree with you, I need to negotiate with her and allow things to slip, to move some in the direction of independence. You've said that, but she didn't do it, right?
Not at all.
I compromised and she went totally against. I gave her a curfew, she went against the curfew. When you told me to compromise, I did that.
Okay, did you keep your end of the bargain?
See, she can't even say.
Not all the time.
I gave her 11 o'clock curfew, she got home at 2 o'clock.
But this is the thing. I think when you do hover, smother kids, the rebellion comes hard and it comes fast when it comes, and they make really bad decisions. Case in point, I have a file of pictures here.
Exactly.
That you have posted on MySpace. And these are pictures that I'm not going to show on the show today. And tell me why you think I'm not going to show these.
Because they
We
probably
have this one as well.
I understand.
We have this one as
See,
well.
I'm overprotective though, right?
Yes, that's why this stuff happens.
No,
Hold
it's
on.
because she went crazy.
No, and why did she do that?
Because I let her have a few feet off of her leash.
Well, and let me say, so nobody misunderstands this. Number one, the reason I'm not showing these pictures is because I think they're very provocative pictures, and I think pedophiles prey on this stuff all the time, so I'm not going to show them. Having said that, there's nothing like pornographic or, I mean, there's nothing horrid in here. I don't want to mischaracterize what's here, but these are not becoming photos of a young woman. These are not the kind of things that you want a college recruiter to see or a job recruiter to see. These are not the kind of pictures that you want published on the internet forever. You can never, ever unring that bell. It is in cyberspace forevermore. They can be pirated off of there and put on pedophile sites. There can be all kinds of problems, and people can see those when they do searches on you. That's bad. You don't want to do that. It's not good judgment. Okay? Clear? All right. The point is, at this stage of the game, you have to make a decision to start letting her do some things to stand on her own 2 feet independent of you, or she's going to do worse than you would ever try to steer her away from through rebellion.
I took some of your advice from last time, and this is the effect that happens when I let her have free range at times.
No. You're not going to. You're not. No. She applied to college. And you got right through the admission process. You progressed right along.
Yep, and we were going to the last meeting to set everything up,
and what
to
happened?
sign all the papers. She called it off because it was in LA.
No, not just because it was in LA, but I felt that she was not ready. Because if she can't get up till noon, these classes start at 7 o'clock in the morning.
No.
How is she going to do that? And I'm not going to pay $50,000 for a school that she'll only go 3 months.
But you've got to give me the chance to prove to you that I'm not going to do that.
Okay, then you pay the $50,000.
But here's the point: you can't smother her to the point that
Go to a community college first and see if she can even hack that. If she can hack that, then I'll do it.
You wanted to go to community college because then you wanted to live at home.
That's what I said. That's what I said. That's what I said.
Come on, okay, all right. If you're saying no, then we'll just cut the deal. So she can go to community college and live in a dorm.
They don't have dorms at community college.
Or okay, an apartment near college.
That's fine.
You're not going to change a bit of this, are you? Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, Teresa, just as you were walking off the stage, you said what?
I'm going to try.
No, that's not what you said.
I don't remember.
No, what you said, standing right there, you said, I'm going to stop.
Oh, okay.
And I said, no, you're not. And by the time you got to your chair, it went from stop to try.
Same thing.
Yeah, right. Okay, Sarah, have you been worried about your boys during the show?
Yes, actually, I have.
Yeah. Wow. Nothing happened.
Wow.
Gee. And they're in LA.
Wow.
Because you know everybody out here is a bunch of freaks, right? All right, look, we're planning an upcoming show about how to let go of the past. And so I want you to know that this year we have decided that the Dr. Phil show is your show. Every topic we do, every subject matter we deal with, every story we tell is going to be something you tell us you're interested in and you want to know about. And we've gotten so many letters about this. So I want to share it with everybody out there. If you're just really having trouble with letting go of things that have happened in your past, you're obsessed with revenge, and you get that it's hurting you as well as other people, if you're just holding on to a grudge and can't get over it, and you want to be free of that, then let us know. And also, something that we've gotten a lot of really interesting letters about, if you're the victim of an unsolved crime, and you're just obsessed with getting justice about it, if the past is haunting you and just consuming your day-to-day life, I don't want that for you, so I want to hear from you. So if those things are happening in your life, go to drphil.com and tell us your story, because we're going to be, as I say, this show this year is your show. All right, I want to thank Lenore and Maria and all of our moms here today. All right, thanks for being here. So long. Today on Dr. Phil.
My daughter was brainwashed. There's no question about that.
Could you become a victim of mind control? 180,000 new recruits every single year. This normal family says they got sucked in to a sect.
My body belonged to him.
I feel as though I've been raped.
Didn't that click that this is not what I've been taught? How to recognize brainwashing techniques and break free. Warnings for you and your children.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
Some say it's a hard life, but it's hard for us all. Always hold on.
In 10,
Always be strong. Reach out.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Stand by, camera 6. Go, Dr. Phil.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Well, today we are going to deal with a silent epidemic that's happening right here in our own backyard. Now, some people refer to what we're talking about today as cults or zealous groups that prey upon the weak and vulnerable, oftentimes in the name of God. Now, in America alone, some experts estimate that there are between 3,000 and 5,000 cults and 5 to 7 million victims. We're talking about 180,000 new recruits every single year. Now, we have guests here today with warnings for you and for your children. These guests today say they've lived through what they call false promises and severe manipulation, and they say it could happen to someone you love if you're not aware of the dangers. Now, the latest front page story about an alleged religious cult comes from Baltimore, Maryland. Imagine your 18-year-old daughter joining a group of new friends you know nothing about, and then one day, bang, she just disappears with your grandchild. Now, Sita says that's exactly what happened to her. She says her daughter, Rhea, joined a religious group called One Mind Ministries 2 years ago. She left home with her 7-month-old son, Javon, and never returned. Sita says they brainwashed her daughter, destroyed her promising future of becoming an attorney. This August, Sita got even more horrifying news when authorities called and said her grandson was dead and her daughter was being charged with first-degree murder.
Bizarre ritual.
Beat and starve the toddler.
Murdered and stuffed into a suitcase. Unbearable pain for the Baltimore family.
I begged and pleaded and cried with her to let me see the baby.
For 2 years, Sita Newton begged members of a religious cult to let her see her daughter and 6-month-old grandson, Javon. They refused. And Monday, the baby's body was found murdered, she believes, at a cult ceremony.
Investigators say the boy was starved for 2 days at the urging of Queen Antoinette, the leader of Baltimore-based One Mind Ministries, because he wouldn't say amen after meals.
Members referring to themselves as king, queen, and prince brainwashed her daughter, keeping mom and baby virtual prisoners.
And she beat him. And she ordered nobody feed him because he had a demon in him.
The child was deprived of food and water until he passed away.
Cult members wrapped the body in a blanket.
Records say Javon was placed on a mattress, upon which cult members say God would resurrect him from the dead.
The body was stuffed inside a suitcase with fabric softener and it's used to cover the odor. A cult leader would frequently open the suitcase with Javon's remains and spray it with Lysol to cover the smell.
I cannot blame my daughter for what happened.
She now believes her daughter is also a victim in this case.
Once you get in there, you become their slave.
Several other cult members face charges including conspiracy to commit murder and child abuse.
Now his young mother will face murder charges.
Well, Sita says she left no stone unturned in trying to let the authorities know that her daughter and grandson were in danger.
2 years ago, I had my daughter and my grandson in the house. Rhea was going to school. She was doing fine. Next thing, she was gone. Rhea was very, very religious. She was so hungry to be with God. This religious group was trying to recruit my daughter. Rhea asked me if I can take her to her friend's house. because they had promised to babysit for her while she go to school. I hesitated because I didn't know these people. Later on that day, I called her. She never answered the phone. A couple of times we went by the house, knocked on the door, they chased us away. They said she can't come outside. I even begged them to let me see the baby. I knew my daughter was brainwashed. There's no question about that. I called the police department, social services, congressman's office, the FBI. I wrote to the city mayor. I even filed court papers to get custody of the baby. I complained about the child's welfare, his health. He wasn't seeing the doctors. He wasn't eating right. I was scared for his safety and also my daughter's safety. I feel like I was just hitting my head against the wall. And this baby, Javon, and my daughter, Rhea, was just slipping away. This past February, I found out that Javon was dead. Social services failed really bad. Sometimes I feel it's my fault. Sometimes I feel I didn't do enough to keep Javon close. Never see his first tooth, never see him crawl, never hear his first word. And that haunts me, that I could have saved him.
Well, Sita, that's very difficult to watch, isn't it? Tell me what your thinking is when you watch that.
It makes me very angry.
You tried to alert the authorities. You talked to all kinds of people, right?
I did.
What did they say when you talked to them?
Social services said it wasn't their job. I need to bring the evidence to them.
Well, joining us also is Rhea's attorney, Steve Silverman, and Rhea's older brother, Sheldon. Now, at this point, Rhea is in jail, Steve, correct?
That's correct.
Charged with first-degree murder?
First-degree murder and child abuse.
Okay. Are there other members of this organization imprisoned as well?
There are 4 other members that they have charged with first-degree murder, 3 of which are currently being held without bail. The child evidently died about a year ago, and once the body was found in Philadelphia in the suitcase, that is when charges were brought against my client, the mother, and the cult members.
Okay, so you represent Rhea as her criminal defense attorney in the face of this first-degree murder charge?
That's correct.
Okay, and your defense is that she was brainwashed?
There's no question she was brainwashed. She loved her child. That is one of the reasons why she left the home, because she wanted, in her mind, to have an opportunity to be with her child 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. What you have is a 18-year-old girl, a very gullible, naive young lady who has the deepest religious convictions and commitment of anyone I've ever met in my life. And she was brought into this situation by people literally twice her age. The woman who ran this cult, her name is Queen Antoinette, and she convinced Rhea that she was an apostle of God, that she spoke with God on a daily basis, that God is with her in their house and giving her orders, and Rhea bought this program hook, line, and sinker. This starvation issue didn't occur until months and months and months of programming, until finally one day Queen Antoinette was convinced that the young child was possessed, and convinced Rhea that this child needs to literally be exorcised from the devil.
Okay, so y'all's position is that she never had the capacity to say, wait a minute, you people killed my baby, I'm calling the cops. At no time in there was there ever a flash of rationality, a flash of reality, a flash of self-control to say, wait a minute, you've killed my child.
The reason why that wasn't the case is they brought the child in a suitcase with them to Philadelphia, and for months and months and months, for one reason and one reason only, and that's because Queen Antoinette told Rhea that the child was going to be resurrected. I think that speaks volumes for her irrational commitment to this cult and following exactly what the leader said.
Coming up, we're going to talk about a story that gives a whole other dimension to hanging out with the wrong crowd. Now, could you or your children be led astray? You sit there and think, oh, no, no, no. But can you get in a position where you are vulnerable? We're going to tell you what to look for with yourself and others when we come back. Plus, you're going to meet another parent who packed up his family, moved hundreds of miles from home, and joined a religious group that came with a price that he says he never expected. We'll be right back.
Shalom, everyone. Praise Yahweh.
My family and I were part of what I consider to be a cult. I believe the house of Yahweh is very dangerous.
If you're not part of Yahweh's laws, Yahweh says you have no right to live, period.
I'm still to this day fearful of what he can and would do.
Today we're talking about one of the silent epidemics in America, what some call cults. Thousands of these organizations, cults or groups, are right here in the United States. Now, the House of Yahweh is a mysterious religious group based out of Abilene, Texas. Some say it is a cross between Judaism and Christianity. Their leader, Israel Buffalo Bill Hawkins, made headlines in February this year when he was charged with bigamy and breaking child labor laws. Now, it was alleged that he has 30 wives.
15 miles east of Abilene is a secluded sect closed off by barbed wire. It's the House of Yahweh, a church based on Old Testament doctrines where traditions urge members to change their last name to Hawkins, just like their leader, Israel.
May the peace of Yahweh be with each and every one of you.
Since founding his church in 1980, Hawkins has consistently preached that nuclear war is imminent. To prepare, his followers stockpile food and supplies in these trailers. The leader also tells followers that extramarital sex is a sin.
Don't lust, don't commit fornication, don't commit adultery.
But some question whether he practices what he preaches.
We believe they violated the law, and that we can prove that.
Shane Deal is a district attorney investigating the House of Yahweh. He has filed charges against several church members, including Israel Hawkins and his second-in-command, Yedidia Hawkins. Israel is accused of promoting bigamy, Yedidia with molesting a young girl.
You know, they arrested the Savior, too, and put him in chains and drug him off.
This affidavit may shed light on illegal activities going on within the sex compound. In the complaint, a woman identified only as Jane Doe number 37 swears she is one of Israel Hawkins' 30 to 35 wives.
We look forward to having a chance to defend those charges before a jury.
Israel Hawkins is due in court this fall.
Well, Norman is a college-educated husband, father, and computer engineer. He says that he was lured into joining the House of Yahweh because of his strong desire to be part of a group.
My family and I were part of what I consider to be a cult.
If you're not part of Yahweh's laws, Yahweh says you have no right to live, period.
I was always a truth seeker, and I've always wanted to be a member of a group. When the House of Yahweh came along, it seemed like a pretty nice fit. I felt like I belonged because everyone treated me like I was special.
Everyone, praise Yahweh.
I really didn't want to miss out on the prize. The prize that was given, that was told to us, was that we would be part of the ruling family. I think I was extremely gullible. I fell for this hook, line, and sinker. I feel as though I've been raped, and it's my own fault. Really bad. I believe the House of Yahweh is a cult. It is very dangerous.
Well, Norman's wife, Alicia, says she was doing what any good wife would do, standing by her man.
When Norman and I first got together, I was 16 years old. There was a young man there closer to my age that I had a short, very brief affair with. After my affair, Norman and I came to an agreement that my body belonged to him, and if he wanted it, I would never tell him no. I wasn't allowed. It was a part of control, a part of the beginnings of the control that eventually led us to House of Yahweh.
My wife enjoyed being a member. I knew for a fact she enjoyed it.
Being in the House of Yahweh was part heaven and part hell for me. The control that this religion had over the women in their congregation was very mind-boggling. Anything that you did outside of the home, you had to have permission from your husband, your head, your ruler. If he disagreed or didn't want you to, you couldn't do it. I had to ask permission to go to the restroom. I felt very resentful about the whole situation and would do things just as fighting. I believe people who are borderline abusive enjoy this place because it justifies the abuse that they themselves deal out. I gave up self-esteem, self-respect, self-rights. I gave up a lot because I wanted to be with Norman wherever he chose to be.
Well, Norman and Alicia were living near the House of Yahweh's compound with their 7 children. The members were all preparing for the end of the world because that's what their leader, Israel Hawkins, preached.
What is about to take place right now is 1/3 of man is going to be killed over 1/4 part of the earth.
He used fear as his main controlling force, and he used scripture to prove that things were going to take place. We were told to stock up our food because there was a nuclear war going to take place on September 12, 2006. We actually started storing food long before that. Israel Hawkins knew in 1997 that it was the end. He also knew in 2001 that it was the end. He knew in 2002 it was the end. We were told to stockpile food, to get safe rooms, to get gas masks and chem suits.
This is so that the radiation does not go into your thyroid so that you can survive the fallout. The purpose of this was fear and intimidation.
If you didn't have a safe room, you're guilty of sin.
Well, Norman's safe room was ready to go, but then came a demand he could not obey. Norman felt it was time to finally leave. Here's why.
When Hawkins started teaching multiple marriages, that's when everything started to change. You could see it in the men, especially the elders. They all started acting like dogs in heat. I would say Israel Hawkins has 25 to 30 wives.
One of those things being that I needed to accept my husband if he decided he could have another wife. When they said this, I told them it was a really hard thing to swallow, but I'd work on it. In the back of my head, there was no way. I knew better.
Would you want to share me?
About as bad as you'd want to share me.
I wouldn't want to. He said that you had to have your children ready to start marriage training at the age of 12. When my girls turned around 6 and 7 and 8 years old, the men started asking me and telling me how righteous my girls are, and boy, they're gonna make nice wives.
I knew I was not going to allow an old man to take my daughter.
It was shortly after that Israel Hawkins made himself king. He's Messiah, he's ruler, he's priest. He actually elevated himself above Jesus. He said, "You're all my children." He said, "Your children are all my children." He took ownership of our children from the podium. Oh, I was against that. As soon as Hawkins made himself king, I knew there was a problem. That's when we decided to go.
I was deathly afraid to get out of there. I was afraid for my children, I was afraid for myself. I'm still to this day fearful of what he can and would do.
Well, Norman and Alicia left the House of Yahweh 5 years ago and say it's been very hard adjusting to life outside the group. We're going to talk to them next, and we'll meet one of Israel Hawkins' former wives.
Members of the House of Yahweh are still contacting my wife, asking her to return because my daughters are holy vessels, vestal virgins, waiting for the holy seed.
Well, today we're talking about allegations that some religious groups use mind control to brainwash their followers. Now, Norman and his wife Alicia say they were brainwashed into believing the word of Israel Hawkins, leader of the Texas religious group House of Yahweh. Norman says he is here today to warn everyone that no matter how educated you are, it could happen to you or somebody that you know. How did this happen? How did you go from living your life with a wife and children and going on about your life to picking up and moving and turning yourself over to these people?
Well, it's pretty simple. It's an opportunity to do something good, something righteous. You have an opportunity to get out there and you're promised that you can do something good for folks, something good for all of mankind.
But growing up in mainstream church, then I know that you were taught about the role of the man in the family. And the role of the man in the family is to be a provider and a protector and a teacher and a leader. And that's your job, not Israel Hawkins' job. That's your job. Didn't that click in your mind at the time that this is not what I've been taught? that all of a sudden he's telling you different things? You resented it.
I resented it, but then I accepted it because it was part of learning to submit or learning to continue a relationship with the father of my children.
You said you were kind of seduced into this with being put in a position of prominence and given great respect, and did it feed your ego?
Oh my word, yes. My name was the priest of Yahweh who rules as Yahweh rules. That's the name that Hawkins gave to me to massage my ego. These men treated me like I was golden, Dr. Phil. They were just phenomenal to me. When someone came to me and complained about an elder, I'm like, what's wrong with you? This guy is fantastic to me. Little did I know that they had already planned in advance. They were looking at your daughters way in advance. We're talking 5 and 10 years in advance. These men are checking out my daughters, knowing that as soon as they turn a certain age, vestal virgins, they're available to these men that come in as grievous wolves, and they want your daughters.
But none of them, y'all didn't like get back behind the barn or the house and say among yourselves, this guy's a little crazy.
Oh, not yet. Towards the end, we sure did.
Because, I mean, the guy says he's above Christ and he wears glasses.
Right.
I mean, because you'd think at some point you'd say, you know, well, then heal your eyes. I mean.
It's a wonderful thing, Dr. Phil. It's what we're all looking for. We're all looking for a witness. We're all looking for redemption, for a savior, for something positive and good to come that's going to help everybody. We did a lot of research and a lot of study. My children are extremely healthy for the research and study that we've done, the foods that we eat.
Oh, you've got the most beautiful family. I mean, that's the blessing, and that's what got you out of this. And I'm so proud that you did. I mean, seriously, look at this. Unbelievable. All right, we got to take a break. Coming up, one of Israel Hawkins' ex-wives is here, and we're going to see what she has to say about life in the house of Yahweh, and you're going to see what she says about what Norman and his wife Alicia and their children went through in this group. It is compelling. Stay right where you are.
What I disliked the most about Hoy were the people. I was treated rather cruelly by the men.
The men there looked up to me because they wanted my sisters.
My family and I are trying to get our lives back together after getting out of the house of Yahweh. Survival has been rather tough, rather slim.
The children have what they have, and they're thankful because they don't really know what they're missing. They don't understand that their bed is supposed to be a bed, not a mattress on top of buckets. They're still full of food. They have lentils in them. They have beans in them. They have rice, hard red wheat in them. At the present time, we feel very blessed with what we do receive. I work. I bring in enough money to pay the bills. It breaks down to $3 a day per person is what we're living on now.
Well, that was Norman and his wife Alicia, who say that they were brainwashed followers of Israel Hawkins and his Texas religious group, the House of Yahweh. Now, some call it a cult. For 10 years, they were members of this group. Now, Norman and Alicia have 8 children. Take a look at how 3 of their oldest children remember life in the House of Yahweh.
What I disliked the most about Hoy were the people. The people were very self-centered, very mean. They'd spank me or wash my mouth out with soap. They made me sit in this chair the whole day, and they didn't let me move. They didn't let me go up to use the bathroom or anything. I was treated rather cruelly by the men. I remember them dragging me around and telling me I was bad.
At Hoy, the kids were kind, but the women didn't like us. The old guys always liked us, which was very annoying. There was a few guys that wanted to marry me, a few guys that wanted to marry Sarah, and they were all really old and ugly.
I enjoyed it a lot. I felt welcome. I had a large family of girls, and the men there looked up to me because they wanted my sisters, and they treated me with kindness and a respect for what I had to say.
Well, Kay Hawkins was married to Israel Hawkins for over 20 years. Now, she says what started out as a beautiful place of worship turned into to what she calls a sex cult, and she had to get out. What was it that pushed you over the line that you got out?
His secretary called me and told me that she was his wife.
And you had no idea about that?
In 1989, this secretary was baptized during one of the feasts. During another feast, she was ordained a deaconess. In December of 1990, she moved to the house of Yahweh. And from that moment on, there was vile gossip everywhere about him and her. I would confront him about the gossip, and he, quote, said, "I will never sin." So I was at home working on all of the writings at the beginning, and he had too much work on his hands to be at home. So he would stay up at the sanctuary, and I would get calls in the middle of the night, "Kay, Israel is at her trailer." I would confront him about it. And he would say, "Don't listen to gossip. I will never sin."
How do you feel about that now?
Betrayed.
As you look back on it, it's not credible?
It wasn't credible the moment the gossip was going on. Because in the beginning, the preaching was going on that women were worthy, women could become priests and elders, because in the book of Romans, there is a woman apostle. So the message from 87 to 89 about women was entirely foreign to what eventually became a woman was chattel, she was property, she was a possession of the man, she had no mind of her own, she was a body without a brain.
Up next, we're going to meet a man who says he's done more than 400 cult interventions.
I would like to go to one of the services I think you're having right now.
The red heifer purification ceremony can
Thank
be
you.
performed. However, some rabbis say that because the
I'm studying with my husband, and he was doing studying, and I mean, he really got into what the truth is and where do I need to go, what do I need to do. So we started reading and studying, and it led us right here.
I've been here since I was little. I came with my parents.
Are your parents?
No, they're gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you know, I had to do what was right for me. I couldn't do what was right for them, and you know, I proved this to myself. I proved everything, and this is my belief and my faith.
Well, that was part of a documentary called Mind Control, which is airing on A&E on November 9th. Maria Berry is the producer. Thank you so much for allowing us to use that. And it's November 9th on A&E, and I hope everybody will tune in and watch the whole thing because it is compelling. Now, the leader of the group you just saw, Israel Hawkins, has something to say to me. Let's hear.
Dr. Phil, this is Israel Hawkins of the House of Yahweh in Abilene, Texas. First off, let me apologize for not being able to attend the interview that you have booked. I'm really not interested in bashing the people that's going to be on your show. I know each and every one of them, and I do love each and every one of those people, and I do hope to see them in Yahweh's kingdom. However, they did leave the house of Yahweh and for their own reasons, and I'm sure some of those reasons will come out on your show. Very soon, a nuclear baby, as we call it in the book, The Nuclear Baby, will be turned loose in a fourth part of the earth in and around the great river Euphrates. It will kill. Nuclear war and famine will kill a third part of man over that fourth part of the earth. This is brought on, Yahweh says, in Isaiah 24, 1 through 6, it's caused because the laws of Yahweh have been ignored and rebelled against by the religions of the world. I appreciate it very much that you played this prophecy on your show. Soon you will see it come to pass. Thank you, in the name of Yahweh.
Now, let me say that that is a part of the statement, but I think it's very representative of the statement. I'm going to put the entire statement on drphil.com if you want to hear it, because I'm not trying to edit any of the content out, but just based for time, it just shared some more thoughts about the prophecy of the nuclear baby. The nuclear baby that is going to be unleashed soon. But I'll let you, and I'm not trying to color that in any way, I'll let you hear it for yourself on drphil.com. You wanted to respond in some way?
It's the same message. You know, if someone says, you know, mom's going to die, and then a year later, you know, mom's going to die, and then, you know, another year later, you know, mom's going to die, and then another year later, mom, and then finally mom dies, like, I told you mom was going to die. That's what he pulls.
Rick Ross is a cult interventionist. Now, he's been researching cults for 26 years. He says he's helped more than 400 people transition out of this very consuming situation. What's your take on the House of Yahweh?
Well, I've received a lot of complaints about it that would line up with what Norm has said and what others have said. I regard it, in my opinion, as a destructive cult, and I've testified in court against the group to get children out of harm's way. And I've seen the marriage manual to train young girls to be wives. This is a totalitarian group. Whatever Israel Hawkins says is right, and whatever he says is wrong is wrong. There's no accountability. There's no democratic church government. And once you become submerged and isolated within their compound and cut off from your family, you have nothing to rely upon except what they tell you the truth is, as seen through their eyes. So they twist the scriptures, which of course warn us about false prophets, false teachers. And boy, I think that Israel Hawkins is a false prophet, unless you consider prophet as P-R-O-F-I-T. If you look at it, if you look at it from that standpoint, he's a multimillionaire, and while his followers live in abject poverty in trailers, wondering where their next meal might come from, he's got a couple of big houses that he rambles around in.
You know, and people wonder, because, you know, we've talked about this, people wonder, and I know people are at home saying, how in the world could you ever sell that to somebody? And, you know, we've talked about 4 different things that you say are so important in mind control. And number 1 is to control their environment, right?
Yes.
To get them under control.
Yeah, the family that first appeared talked about how their daughter was and sister was cut off from them.
Right.
So what I get complaints from families is they can't communicate with their loved ones that are in a group like this.
And second is to break down the sense of self, right?
Yes, to break down their sense of self-esteem, to literally attack them as individuals on the basis that they are wrong and that the group is right.
And then they instill, third, a new sense of identity that comports with what they want that person's definition and role to be.
Yes, and it's reinforced by the group environment where you get no feedback except from other members who tell you that they understand the right behavior and the right way of being.
And the fourth, and maybe it's the most powerful tool of all, is to isolate the individual so they can't get input from somebody else to say, hey, wait a minute, come on.
Yes, and in the Hawkins group, you can see the unreasonable fears that members are indoctrinated to believe, that there's a wall of fear that keeps them trapped inside the environment of the group.
We'll be right back. Okay, joining us on the phone today from Texas is John Young. He is the attorney of Pastor Israel Hawkins. Now, Pastor Hawkins has given John Young permission to speak on behalf of himself and the House of Yahweh. Because we kind of only have one side of the story, I've been very careful to say it's what some people call this or that. This is what is alleged to have happened. I assume that Israel Hawkins would disagree with these characterizations.
Well, absolutely, Dr. Phil. The characterizations that I'm hearing seem to be focused a lot on individual responses to a religious message. The tenets and the message of the House of Yahweh, you accurately state, Dr. Phil, that it's a sort of a mix between Christianity and Judaism, and they recognize the Savior in Jesus Christ. but still continue to follow the Levitical and Old Testament laws.
Is this a polygamist organization?
I have seen absolutely no evidence whatsoever of that.
Do you feel that Norman and Alicia have anything to fear in terms of retribution or retaliation from Israel Hawkins or the House of Yahweh?
Absolutely not. Excuse me for cutting you off, but absolutely not.
Norman says that, that Israel Hawkins preached multiple wives and that girls were trained for marriage at 12 years of age. Is that true or false?
That the church must follow the laws of the government that God puts in place over man. I think that Pastor Hawkins would tell you that the scriptures themselves do not strictly prohibit as sinfulness multiple marriages, but the laws of man do, and therefore the House of Yahweh prohibits multiple marriages. As to the grooming of children, you know, I've been out to the church grounds. I've worked with these folks for many months now. I've simply seen no evidence of it, and I've interviewed dozens of young people that are members of the church. They live on the church grounds and that live off the church grounds. And you know, Dr. McGraw, or Dr. Phil, I've just not seen any evidence of that.
Alicia, you're shaking your head. Did you want to say something?
I don't believe that. I personally do not believe that, because I know of a girl who was 15 when I left that married him. She was one of his concubines.
All right, well, we're out of time and have to move on. John Young, thank you so much for giving us your perspective on this and what Israel Hawkins wanted us to know.
Well, thank you, sir, for having us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, Maria, you were actually inside. Is John Young, Israel Hawkins' attorney, giving a fair representation of what you saw and what you've learned about the House of Yahweh?
You know, I think regardless of all the allegations that have been, you know, spoken about today, it is just not a very healthy place for anybody to be. You know, I drove in, I went to the sanctuary that they're talking about and attended one of the services. And the whole topic is about, you know, doom and gloom, and it's all fear-based and very, you know, contamination of food. He talks about sexual disease a lot. He seems to be fixated on that for some reason. I think he's even said that global warming is, you know, attributed to sexual diseases of some kind. So, I mean, it's really bizarre.
Global warming is an STD?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I want to know. We'll be right back.
There are diseases that come from food, eating unclean foods, but the majority of the sickness and diseases come from sexually transmitted diseases.
One of the most difficult parts of transitioning from the House of Yahweh into society is that we're taught and trained that everything's unclean. Everyone's unclean.
Right now, every person on earth has an STD.
A woman who had her cycle was considered unclean. She was untouchable. She had to sit on a plastic mat and wipe everything down in order to become holy for Sabbath day. If a woman in her defiled state used a bathroom, the bathroom itself was considered unclean and unholy. Another person could not walk in and use it right after her. Once you delivered a child, it depended on the gender of how long you were unclean. 40 days for a boy, 80 days for a girl.
If you would like more information about warning signs of dangerous groups, leaders, and how to avoid mind control, go to drphil.com, and we're going to have a lot of that there for you. Now, if you have a story about someone that you know who you believe has come under the influence of someone or some organization that is dangerous, then click on Be a Guest and share the details with us, because I want to raise awareness about all of this. I really do. I'm so proud that y'all have had the courage to stand up and tell your story as you see it and you believe it to be. And I'm so glad that you did that. Steve, thank you for being here. We wish you all the best as you pursue this. Maria, thank you for the footage from the documentary. It's very compelling, and I hope people will watch that on A&E. Coming up on the 9th. Rick, thanks for your expertise and for the work that you do to help people. We'll have links to everybody here so you can contact them for more information if you would like. Thanks for being here today. So long.